The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lookers Land Rover. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good morning and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on the first derby day in Glasgow of the new season. Rangers and Celtic go head to head looking to land the first blows of the campaign. New signings, injury problems, poor previous results, no away fans, all adding to the fixture that, let's be honest, needs no additional drama. Strap yourselves in because it's Old Firm time in the company of Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
In the morning there is the fear of losing. In the afternoon, there is the joy of winning. But only one team, one manager, and one set of supporters can share that joyful experience. The losing manager faces weeks of anger and recrimination. The size of the defeat will determine the scale of the backlash. It could even be the beginning of the end for the losing manager, because Michael Beale and Brendan Rodgers suffer from having an element within their support who don't want them in charge of their club. This is going to be a fraught afternoon with serious consequences for somebody.
Yeah, huge afternoon for both, and I can't remember a time where it was so unpredictable, this fixture, where both managers go in with huge pressure on their shoulders. This game brings huge pressure, but what's went before for Celtic and Rangers hasn't satisfied their fans so far this season. That makes it critical that neither of them go into this one with a losing mentality and come out with a defeat. So what an afternoon we've got in store for us.
Yeah, I agree with the lads. I think we're in for a terrific afternoon of football, excitement, plenty of talking points. It's incredible that this is the fourth league game of the season, and we're already talking the manager that loses it comes under pressure.
What an afternoon we have in store. Kickoff is just under 15 minutes away, so let's not hang around. We'll go straight to Ibrox and get some team news with Alex Ray and Andrew Maclean.
Yeah, well, the first Old Firm clash of the season always has an important feeling about it. This one is no different. Fans of both sides will really be looking for a lot of questions to be answered. Rangers after that midweek defeat to PSV, Celtic having not won or scored in their last two matches as well. Michael Beale looking for his new look side to take shape. Brendan Rodgers looking for his side to click as well. Today would be the perfect day for it all to come together for either team. In terms of team news, it's 3 changes for Rangers from the side that lost heavily in midweek to PSV. Out go Borna Barisic, despite the fact that Michael Beale said he'd be okay for this game. He's not even on the bench. Cifuentes and Lundstrom dropping out as well. In come Sterling, Jack and Roof. So it's Jack Butland in goal. The back 4, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter and Dujon Sterling. The midfield 3, Ryan Jack, Nicholas Raskin and Todd Cantwell. And the front 3, Ravi Matondo, Tamar Roof and Cyril Dessos. The substitutes, McCrory, Yilmaz, Lundstrom, Lawrence, Lammers, Cifuentes, Sima, Davies and Danilo. Just the one change for Celtic coming into this one. Yang drops out of the starting lineup, and it's Leila Bada who comes in for him. So Joe Hart starting in goal. The back 4, Alistair Johnson, Gustav Lagerbielka, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. It means that there is no place for Nat Phillips, not even on the bench after signing late in the transfer window. The midfield 3, Matt O'Reilly, Callum McGregor and David Turnbull. The front 3, Leila Bada and Daisen Maida either side of Kyogo. The substitutes, Bain, Palma, Yang, Holmes, Kobayashi, Swan, O, Bernabe and Ralston. The referee at Ibrox is Don Robertson. The VAR is Alan Muir and Alex Ray. There is a lot to look forward to for this game today.
Yeah, very much so, Andrew. I'm really looking forward to it. The noise is just cranking up here. I agree with the guys in the studio. The pressure very much on the losing manager today. Some interesting choices for the manager as well. You look at Celtic, Liam Scales comes in at centre half. For Rangers, you have Sterling playing at left back when you have Yilmaz on the bench. Would you put that gamble? So he'll have a big afternoon ahead of him as well. And the midfield battle is always crucial in these games. You know, you look at Rangers, Ryan Jack, Raskin and Cantwell. You get the familiar Callum McGregor, Turnbull and Matt O'Reilly, who Celtic fans will be delighted still here after a £10 million bid during the week. The front 3 of Abada, Kyogo and Maeda, we've seen what they can do over the course of their time at Celtic. Kemar Roof comes back in. There's no surprises there for me. He's one of the standout centre forwards for Rangers. You know, you look at his goal records, still question marks over Dessers, and Matondo's got a big afternoon ahead of him as well.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. Kickoff at Ibrox is just 10 minutes away.
Mark Wilson will start with the Celtic team because it just feels like there was a bit more intrigue around it, in the sense of new signings at the last minute. Surely Nat Phillips would play, was the talk all week on Clyde One Super Scoreboard, because he was signed as an emergency centre back. That said, he's not played football in 9 months, and therefore has been left out of the squad altogether this afternoon. What do you make of that?
Well, internally it probably makes sense. Brendan Rodgers and his staff would have probably looked at Nat Phillips and spoke to him and thought it was too soon. Externally, to us and probably every Celtic fan going along, not going along, watching the game, they would have expected Nat Phillips to be brought to the club for the important games when the other centre-halves are injured. Now, they don't get much more important than an away visit to Ibrox, where defence that doesn't look solid last week with Scales and Lagerbielke. So I think that's a surprise, but Brendan Rodgers obviously has assessed the situation and thought he was not ready to go in. It's a big afternoon for Lagerbielke and Scales. I don't know how much of a future Scales has got at Celtic with the other centre-halves ahead of him, but for Lagerbielke, it's a game that could make or break you really quickly into your Celtic career. If he's a standout and he's solid today, then he's got a great Celtic career ahead of him. If he struggles, then the fans will point the finger at him. So, big afternoon.
If Celtic lose, Brendan Rodgers and everyone associated with the signings made during the transfer window will be under severe pressure. Lagerbielke is the only one of all the summertime signings to be playing from the start today. Nat Phillips, the question will be, what was that all about? An emergency centre-back was needed. You sign one and he's not even fit enough to be on the bench. This is a Celtic side who have not gone 3 competitive matches in a row without scoring for 29 years. If that happens today, the recriminations will be long and loud.
And then for Rangers, Gordon, the fascination was always going to be middle to front. That front six, if you want to call it. I think I'm right in saying only one of them is made up of a new recruit from over the summer, so big chance for Dessers to show what he can do. And it's, other than that, it's the cast from last year.
Yeah, I think the big decision, see Fuentes for instance, I think he's got a great future at Rangers. I like to look at him. I didn't think he played particularly well in midweek. Maybe that's cost him his position today. The front three, Matondo gives them that pace, especially against, that Celtic defence that's going to come under a little bit of pressure. Dessers, me, this is a big game for him. I've not been convinced so far. I know it's early, but everyone knows you go and get a couple of goals or get a goal or get the winner against Celtic, you become an instant hero. And Roof was a no-brainer. I thought against Ross County last week for 65 minutes, I thought he was excellent. Comes back into the starting lineup. I think middle to front, that's very attacking. I think it looks very strong.
I'll ask Mark Wilson the same question in a second from a Celtic perspective. Alex Ray, how much does Michael Beale need to avoid defeat today?
Yeah, very much so, Gordon. I think the manner in which we lost the other night, there's been question marks about that. It could quite easily have been more if it wasn't for Jack Butland. The manner we've done that. So I think today it's vitally important that he doesn't lose a game, Gordon, because you look at social media, you look at people in general are questioning some of these signings. The guys are absolutely right. You look at Dessers and several other players, spent a lot of money. Danilo hasn't even been kind of cited in recent weeks either, Gordon. So, these are big signings that haven't really hit the ground running. So a win today would alleviate most of that pressure as well, because ultimately this is what this full house is looking for today from a Rangers perspective, is to try and kind of get back to winning ways on the back of that heavy defeat.
And I assume it's for slightly different reasons, Mark, because Brendan Rodgers is about to take charge of his 4th league game. That's it. But at the same time, he needs to avoid defeat for his own reasons, doesn't he?
Well, of course. The cloud that followed him when he came back here to Celtic still remains, even though a decent performance against Ross County, 3 goals away at Pittodrie, quickly forgotten about when you go 2 games in a row without scoring. And as you say, that's an amazing start. 29 years, 3 games in a row without scoring. So he needs his players to turn up. When you look at that 11, you make the point, Gordon, there's only one new signing in there, Lagerbielke, but the rest have been there and done it. Ibrox, maybe not many other great performances there, but Kyogo's been there, Abada's been there, Maeda's been there, McGregor and O'Reilly. So he's got a lot of experience. He needs those big players to turn up this afternoon.
Yeah, sorry to go for the boring angle on this, Alex Rae, but I wonder if we can bang on all day about new signings and form and managers. What part does home advantage play in these fixtures at the moment? Because we discussed it yesterday in the show. Celtic have been very successful. They've still only won 2 of the last 9 trips to Ibrox.
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be very hostile here today. If you're from that Celtic dressing room, the first thing you're saying is let's silence the crowd. The guys have touched on the experience there that the Celtic team have, but you just look at the stats that you've just thrown out there, Gordon. It's still very difficult to win here at Ibrox. And listen, as I said, it's about how does it on the front foot. I think there's key battles all over the park today, Gordon. You look at defensively, both teams, they'll be looking where they can get an advantage. Stirling has a big part to play today if he's going to keep Abada. He's just signed a new contract. He'll be delighted with that. I'm sure it'll be an uplift in his monthly wage, Gordon. So he'll be looking to continue. I do like him. He gets in amongst the goals at the back post. I think Stirling's going to have to be mindful of that. And I think Liam Scales. It'll be interesting to see where Kemar Roof actually plays today, because obviously Dessers will occupy the number 9. Will he slightly play off the right hand side? Will they play a 2 straight up through the middle, which will allow Greg Taylor to get down that left hand side? So a lot of kind of moving parts within this, how it's going to shape up over the course of the afternoon.
Gordon and Andrew Maclean, it sounds lively. Take us up to kick-off.
Yeah, it is lively indeed. The team's making their way out the tunnel at the moment. Simply the best ringing round Ibrox. And as I look to my left as well, there is a huge display of people, as they call it these days, covering the whole Broomloan Road stand. It says, "All my sons will be like me," and suspended from the top of the stand, it's a portrait really of a young boy on the shoulders of his father. It's quite impressive looking, Alex, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They've made a big effort to do that. So they'll be looking for some sort of bright start to kind of get this place rocking, because as I say, it can be intimidating.
Yeah, and you look at the players now shaking hands on the pitch at the moment. Many of these players will be experiencing this fixture for the first time and just walking out to this wall of noise. It will hit them, and they'll now know that they are really in a game, and what this means to so many people across this city and across the country as well. I'll read you the starting lineups again for this match. For Rangers, Jack Butland in goal. The back 4, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Souttar and Dujon Sterling. The midfield 3, Ryan Jack, Nicholas Raskin and Todd Cantwell. The front 3, Cyril Dessers, Kemar Roof and Rabbi Matondo. For Celtic, it's Joe Hart in goal. The back 4, Alistair Johnson, Gustav Lagerbielka, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. The midfield 3, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and David Turnbull. And the front 3, Leila Bada, Dyson Maida and Kyogo. Celtic just making their way into a huddle at the moment. The mascots on the pitch, the Rangers players, are just doing their final preparations, their final warm-ups. What will be going through the heads of those players, Alex? Some of them that have experienced this fixture many, many times, and the ones who will be out there for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. The ones that are actually sampling this for the first time, it's a tremendous atmosphere, and they'll be looking to try and get a fast start. You'll be looking to try and get in the faces of the opposition. And I was always going back to my days when Ian Duran used to always say the first tackle, try and set the tone of the match, try and get after the opposition and get the fans going.
You talk about setting the tone for the match, but what this game can do is really set the tone for the season. Either side could really put down a marker, try and stamp some early authority on this campaign.
Yeah, absolutely, Gordon. Andrew, that's exactly right. You want to try and get that first win of the season, put down a marker, and then you also have to go into that international week. We've got the phone in, it'll be lively for the next couple of weeks. One set of fans will probably be going mad, the other ones will be jubilant. So it's important that you're in that camp.
Where do you see the key battles being in this game?
Yeah, as I said, I think defensively, I think both teams really need to be at it, because I think that if you look at midfield to front, I think both teams are very strong. The key battles, Callum McGregor, then you've got Ryan Jack in the middle of the park, you've got Raskin and Cantwell, then you've got Turnbull and O'Reilly who like to bomb forward, so defensively Rangers players will have to be switched on for that.
Well, Celtic have broken out of their huddle, the players are ready to go. Kemar Roof is standing over the ball. He's now actually moved away. It'll be Rabbi Matondo that kicks things off here at Ibrox for Rangers against Celtic.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes. With M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
And just like that, it is showtime. Hugh Keevins, how's it going to end up?
Rangers 3, Celtic 0.
Wow, that's a big one to start us off. Follow that, Mark Wilson.
Rangers 2, Celtic 2.
4-goal thriller, share of the spoils.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals. I'm going to go, I think the home team will edge it 2-1.
Okay, no Celtic wins in the studio. We will find out. We are underway at Ibrox in the sunshine for the first meeting of these famous old rivals of the campaign. Many memorable meetings over the years for different ways, and I'm sure today will certainly be high on the drama stakes, if nothing else. And early on, Liam Scales has come for a ball and misjudged it, and Rangers are in, and it's an opening goal already at Ibrox.
No, it's offside.
Offside. Oh, the flag goes up.
It's against Matondo as well.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's against Dessers.
You think so?
Yeah, it's Dessers all day long. Good shout. The minute I looked at it, I thought, this is going to be...
I was going to say, because if it had been Matondo, you would be tearing your hair out wondering how he's ended up offside. But we'll get a look at it. I think VAR will draw the lines. Initial view, it did look off, but... We've learned our lessons from now. Yeah, and it is offside, but what a warning sign.
Yes, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. Scales immediately at fault. This is the area of vulnerability. Lagerbielke and Scales, I think, are totally out of their depth here.
You imagine that atmosphere now, Gordon. Of course, Rangers fans will be devastated that the goal got chalked off, but still the atmosphere from that, how easy it was to get in. As soon as I seen that long ball going up and Scales gambling to go and win it, I'm thinking, what are you thinking? You're never going to win that.
I think always we have a responsibility not to just to jump on the pre-match narrative, sorry Hugh, and then stick with it, right? Let's not only look at Liam Scales today. However, Gordon, that he does come running into an area where he was never going to get the ball. It was an easy flick on in behind.
Yeah, Mark's quite right. Sometimes in these games you can get caught up, make silly decisions. That was a bad decision. He'll just need to settle down. The good thing about it is he's had a few touches after that, so he's settling himself down. Look, he's played here before. Yeah, it's a completely different ball game with Aberdeen to Celtic, with obviously the importance of the game, the atmosphere, the pace, everything. But he just needs to settle himself down, calm himself down.
If you're the Rangers supporters or the Rangers players, I think you smell blood straight away. The Celtic, I think, will need to battle the occasion as well as the opposition.
As Gordon says, though, he's just plucked that one out the sky quite nicely, which was also a nice indicator of maybe what Rangers are thinking, Gordon, because it went back to Jack Butland and he didn't bother playing out from the back. He just launched it.
Yeah, they'll probably have noticed that. If you're a good player and you're on the pitch, you do pick these things up. But you quite rightly pointed out there, Gordon, he pulled it down, very calm, played a nice pass into the midfield to McGregor. I'll do him the world of good. Look, I think that during this game all players will make mistakes. It's just if you get punished from them.
So 3 minutes gone, no one's taken breath yet. That won't happen for a while, so just to prepare yourself. I was thinking even Jack Butland, Mark, he's played at a very good level, he's represented his country, and yet still he'll not have faced anything like this.
Nothing like this, no. In a stadium full of his home fans, but the atmosphere will be like nothing he's ever seen before. The expectation on that Rangers team to win today, home advantage, is huge, and he'll get his first taste of that.
Dies in Maida, runs James Tavernier down the line. It looked like he had got the better of him initially, but then he sort of slowed down, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah.
Seen them given, seen them given. Maeda's protecting the ball, Tavernier comes into the back of him and he goes down over the ball.
Very interesting there. If Mark will tell you better, fullback, Maida has got massive pace as the ball's played in. I think Joe Hart should be dealing with that. But Tavernier stands 5 yards off him and basically gives him the
line.
Yeah, a 1-on-1. I'm thinking that'd be dangerous because of the pace that obviously Maeda's got. But I think Celtic, after that scare, they've settled in okay. They're knocking the ball about. They look composed. I'm very surprised that Rangers haven't gone right at them and
tried to dominate the ball
and press them high up, because obviously that's their weakest part of their game just now, is that the defence that everyone's talking about, the two centre backs.
It might be weak defending, but on the ball they look very comfortable.
Yeah.
Bielka as he gives it away. But
still was an ambitious pass, to be fair.
Still, I mean, Scales even looks comfortable.
It's a nice couple of touches now for Liam Scales, you have to say.
And we quickly forget Celtic's strengths. Turnbull, O'Reilly, McGregor. You play through them up to the front, you've got a chance.
Yeah, just a loose pass from Maida. It does find a teammate, but it could have gone right into the path for Turnbull for maybe a look at goal from outside the box. But Celtic certainly dominating the ball in the early stages.
They're knocking about well, Gordon.
Yeah.
You've got to say, look, I don't jump on the bandwagon all of a sudden.
There's Leila Bada crosses into the box. It's a good defensive header from John Suter. I think it must have come off Kyogo because it's a goal kick.
Good positive play with Celtic. They've settled down after that opening scare. Abada prepared to take on Sterling down the right hand side. He'll fancy that job this afternoon. I think if you're Brendan Rodgers, you're saying, right, get the ball out there, go 1v1, see if you can get in behind and cause problems, and he's already tried that.
Abada tends to fancy it in this fixture against Rangers' first choice left back, Mark. So only figure if he can't, because I know the jury's out on Abada at times, but if he can't have a go at a young player just brought to Rangers, I think playing out of position, then this is maybe not for him, this fixture.
Well, of course, I don't think his performances at Ibrox have matched the ones at Celtic Park, where he played against Barisic. So it's a big afternoon for him, but early on, getting the ball, squaring them up, going by him, that'll give him great confidence.
Skills can't be look, we're not picking in Skills, no chance. He's played that, he get caught there, he was too long in the ball, and then the ball comes back onto Roof. He doesn't need to go in and give him a free kick. Just stand your ground and say to Roof, right, you'll need to play the ball back.
Those ones are quite harmless though, aren't they? If you're a centre
but
back
I
team,
don't think you need to put yourself into that position. Just stand your ground.
He's not a natural central defender to start with. You know, fullback.
There you go, two centre backs.
That's a problem.
Yeah, Lager, Bielka and Scales both chased the same ball. Scales does, I was going to say, he does quite well to shepherd Dessers, and really good from Callum McGregor. How's that composure inside your own penalty box? Brilliant from the Celtic skipper, but the pass goes to Rangers. And but for a bad touch, Kamal Roof could have been in, Joe Hart gathers.
Well, the first of all, the centre halves, Lager, Bielka and Scales going for the same ball. You know, criminal defending that. Scales, he was quite fortunate. He was in a bit of a tango and they got away with it. McGregor does great, but you cannot play straight passes in there to Kyogo, or else
Are you
it gets turned over.
Are you surprised, Gordon, that with Rangers being at home, with Celtic not having started the season well and having their selection difficulties, that the Rangers are sitting off the game a bit? Does that surprise you?
Well, I thought that the early signs when they got in behind and Matondo gets a goal and it's offside, I thought that was the perfect time to go and really press Celtic high, really get at them, get on the front foot. But they seem to have backed off. They let Scales get a few touches on the ball, settle into the game. But it may be just a game plan. Just now, I think that I would be more happier if I was Michael Beale, because I'm looking, if I was Brendan Rodgers looking at the two centre backs, Scales has made the first mistake, and then the two of them go for the same ball there. They need to get a bit of communication going.
How well she done there to keep it in?
Alistair Johnson does brilliant to keep it in. I thought it was going to be a corner. That'll be another key battle as well, Mark, because the Celtic fans are all, understandably, very excited about Alistair Johnson returning, but he is just back from an injury. What also remains to be seen how he's going to adapt to a different system for the fullbacks under the new manager as well. So
yeah, it's a different challenge for him today. I mean, Ryan Kent, he dealt with great when he played against him, but Matondo, you would feel he's going to be a bit more direct, trying to run in behind him, and that's often quite difficult to deal with. But Alistair Johnson there shows he can match him, has a strength there, but he's a very good player. He's going to be a big one for Celtic
at
this
least
afternoon.
You know that he has the temperament for it.
Yeah.
You know, he's afraid of pardon me, he's afraid of nothing. So he's a very welcome addition for Brendan Rodgers. But if you're a Rangers fan, I agree with you, Gordon, that you're nearly 10 minutes in, you're thinking we should be making more of the fact that Celtic look decidedly vulnerable in central defence.
Did you instill that sort of steeliness in Alistair Johnston when you coached him as a kid in Canada, or is that natural? Is that the sort of thing that can't be taught even by you?
No, it's natural. I'm not going to take any credit for that. I gave him a lot of his coaching.
Well,
and
he's been left by Ravi Matondo this time.
Yeah, good play with Matondo. Matondo to me is a mixed bag. I think he's got terrific pace. He's a real threat, but I'd like to see a wee bit more quality in the final.
Let me ask you as a fullback, Mark, do you have to accept that when a player is that quick that he quite simply is going to skip away from you once or twice in a game, and is it about limiting the number and making sure it happens in areas that are not?
Yeah, listen, without being too technical, you need to get your body angles right to try and direct him into the best place for you. You know, speed like that you can't handle sometimes, so force him away, or when he's running it, you force him inside to one of your midfielders. Alistair Johnston is hugely experienced. He'll know how to shape that. You've got a young right back or left back out there, and they may struggle, like we saw against Morton. And I'm still having a go at the boy, but he clearly didn't know how to handle it. Johnston will.
Well, Celtic's defence actually dealt with the initial pressure from Rangers really, really well. Lagerbielke to Scales and out the other side. McGregor joined in, but then for the second time I think Greg Taylor passes one out the pitch.
Yeah, it's unlike him. He's usually very neat and tidy on the ball, but he's not had the great start with him. But obviously Rangers feel that Matondo could be a threat, trying to get the ball out to this wide area against Johnson 1-on-1. McGregor, I think, settled in well. He's starting to dominate a little bit for Celtic in the middle of the park.
How important is he? Because even he has been criticised a lot for his early season form. Arguably one of the most consistent players in the country for, I don't know, take your pick, 5 years, maybe more. But you know, he's had his doubters at the start of this season. My
personal opinion, I think if McGregor plays, Celtic play. I think he's the key to it all. I think if he gets on that ball, he can make things happen. There's plenty of movement off the ball. So if usually when you see Celtic at their best, McGregor's in top form. He's a captain, he's a leader. People look up to him to set the examples, not off the pitch as well as on it. And when he plays well, Celtic tend to play well.
So 12 minutes gone, Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Rangers did have the ball in the net, but fairly simple offside decision. And other than that, no real goal scoring chances. Celtic have had possession, although this is Rangers now really with their first prolonged spell of it. And I think both will be okay with things so far. I mean, Celtic have looked a bit vulnerable, Hugh, but maybe that was to be expected.
The offside goal has really been a saviour for Celtic, because had that been allowed to stand, and it should not have been allowed to stand, but had that been a goal, it would have been the start of a collapse. But they've withstood that moment, and they're doing away quite nicely, as managers are wont to say.
And of course, that quite well there, Gordon, because Rangers kept out the pitch, a period of possession, but you just saw the midfielders starting to creep up, and Goldson didn't have anywhere to go. I'd like to see Celtic just move maybe 5 yards up the pitch, because Kyogo, a wee bit isolated there at the top end of the pitch.
They are sitting quite deep when Rangers get the ball, Celtic. They're leaving no space whatsoever in behind. The game's settled down now. You're always got to get that frantic start, of course you are. But it's starting to settle down a little bit.
Rangers going long, very long from Jack Butland. Gordon, is that clearly the tactic at times today, try and look at Matondo behind?
If it is, I think it's the wrong tactic if you're going to hit Matondo. Because I would fancy Alistair Johnston to beat him all day long, whether it's to pick up the second balls in the middle of the park. If I was going long, I'd probably I'd head for Dessars to try and go against Lagerbielke or Scales for a flick on. Maybe just a different tactic, but Celtic have settled into this now. Kyogo taking a little bit of sore one.
Yeah, Kyogo did that new thing he does, dropping deep, and it worked, because here goes Maeda, but he just can't quite get the ball out from under his feet.
Tavernier there, lucky boy. Yeah. A lucky boy, because Maeda skips inside him. It looks like it's opening up, but I think the ball just falls behind him. I thought Tavernier clipped him, but I don't thinking about it, I'm not sure if he did.
There's never enough for him.
Never in a million years. But
just couldn't get the ball in front of him.
It could have ended up not in a good situation for Tavernier. But that's a threat with Maeda. That's what I'm saying. If you stand off him and give him that room to go at you, he can cause you problems.
It was actually a good move from Celtic, Mark, because it went into Kyogo. There's been a lot of debate about how deep he comes, but when he knocks it off first time, then it allows the space elsewhere.
You know what? I think that's been worked on. The way it happened there, Lager Bielka straight up to Kyogo, knocked back to McGregor, and Celtic were out the other side, into Taylor, into Maeda, and it's a 1v1. Absolutely perfect. The only thing they didn't get right was the end bit, which is the all important bit, of course, but encouraging signs.
I think a throw in just to Celtic. We've not explored one of your great theories about these games, though, Hugh. You know the problem, don't you?
What's the problem?
It's too sunny.
Yeah,
it's too bright. You like it dark and sinister.
Yeah. That's the way the fixture ought to be. Fun in the sun doesn't equate with this fixture.
I like that from you. That's one of my favourite theories you have. Should we get a roof at both stadium and turn the lights out when they play?
Well, we just have to hope for rain. That's the first thing.
Well, I think we have enough rain in this country, Hugh. Let's just enjoy the sunshine and the football.
Bit slack from Todd Cantwell there.
So deep though, eh? I mean, Cantwell's taking the ball in the right back position. Tavernier's up higher.
Kind of does, I was going to say does what he wants, but he does sort of roam anyway, doesn't he, Mark? Because today he's, in theory, playing that deeper one in amongst the midfield. When it's been the European games, he's been part of the attacking three, but he still kind of goes where he wants.
Yeah, nice position to play, and he's got the ability to do that.
What a pass that is from Callum McGregor. Abada, Kyogo misses it, and it's cleared from Rangers at the back. You calm down, Mark Wilson.
Yeah, get your Celtics trip off. I've got to say, I don't know why Kyogo's stepping over it.
I think he did deliberately.
I don't know, I need to see it again, because I think that's a brilliant ball. If you just get your instep on that, you're causing problems.
Mark, it's one that the stats sheet won't show a shot on target or anything, but that's a big chance for Celtic.
I just wonder, I thought he was just going to put his foot through it. Did he step over it? Did he try and flick it? And then, by the way, I think Tavernier's in a good position at the back post, because Maeda's coming to tap that in, and Tavernier's tucked right round there to get it away. But good move from Celtic.
Now, if we go right back to the start, the ball from McGregor is fantastic, and one of the main criticisms that the fans have had about Celtic this season, and they have had many forms of criticism, but one of them has been that the captain was banished. Well, the captain has re-emerged today. He's had a terrific opening 17 minutes.
If I was Celtic, I'd be taking encouragement down this right-hand side. Abada's already ran the left-back Sterling in the opening minutes. He gets in behind him there, plays a great ball. He'll fancy that. You get a feeling against some opposition players that you just, on the day, fancy if you can get the quality balls to you.
Yeah, Celtic have been knocking at the door a bit, but we've still not had any clear sort of shots on goal. That was the pick of the move so far. Abada down the line, crossed it in. I think Kyogo's just ahead of it, so he tries to almost flick it with his.
I think Kyogo tries to do
that. He tries to
flick it.
Tries to flick it.
That, to me, I cannot understand.
Is that because he's ahead of it though? That's
I think he can.
Than me, but
I think he can easily put his right foot round that.
Maybe a wee bit too much pace on the ball for Abada, so he is a bit ahead of it, so he tries to readjust himself.
See if it comes off, Mark, we are lauding that, saying what a finish that is, right? We would have been lauded. But for me as a striker, I think he's got to do a little bit better there for me.
Lager Bielka tries the delicate one. He's looked comfortable enough in possession, but that pass didn't work out.
He must be off.
If that flag stays down,
it must be off.
It did stay down in the end, but Joe Hart comes out easily and just heads the ball back to Celtic.
How much space is Roof getting though? They have to be careful.
I don't think Roof's really been involved too much in the game, Hugh.
I think it was Dessers, Hugh, going through the middle.
Yeah, Dessers is the same. He get caught offside in the first one. There, he looks offside again to me.
Good touch there from Scales that forces him into actually putting out. Roof presses
a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, again, Mark, is why are Rangers not doing that more? Yeah. Why is the press not that aggressive on Celtic's back two? Because anytime they have, it's looked like it could work.
I think they're fearful of what just happened with Abada, with McGregor. If they pick up the ball, they can open you up right away. So they are playing more cautious than I would have thought. I think the 3-0 game at the end of last season, you saw an aggressive Rangers side go after Celtic, got their rewards, and early on in the game
go after a good, confident, full strength Celtic.
Yeah, but they're certainly standing off the back line. They're wary about pressing Lagerbielke and Scales on the ball. That time they did. They get a throw in and they win back possession.
Definitely looking direct for Dessers. Goldson this time over the top.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at that with
direct, aren't they? Rangers a lot into Dessers.
Especially when they've got good passing players in the middle of the park. You know, they want Cantwell on the ball. We've not seen a lot of him.
Cantwell and Raskin, you've barely seen.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Raskin.
But that's not necessarily criticism of them. It's more the way the game's panned.
Yeah, they're bypassing the middle of the park for some reason just now.
Well, there we are. We're 20 minutes in. We've spent all week wondering how it would pan out. We're starting to find out. And if it was a test for Dujon Sterling, he does very well on this occasion, Mark. Great
Strength
defending.
Test there, yeah, great defending from Sterling, because Abada's went past him a couple of times, but again gets his angles right. He knows Abada's got pace and steps across him and just wins the ball back, wins a foul for his side. Good defending that time.
Jack Butland showing good composure under pressure from Kyogo, but Maeda tries to nibble back at Tavernier, who also does well. It's been an intriguing opening, Hugh. I don't mind it. It's not been hugely high on incident, but it's been quite good.
If you're a Celtic fan, you're reasonably happy with the way things have gone. The break of the offside decision has gone your way, and Celtic have looked quite comfortable, but the big test is of Lagerbielke and of Liam Scales.
It's a bit of a loose touch from David Turnbull, but his skipper might just bail him out, but then his Scotland counterpart Ryan Jack goes in. That might have been Nicholas Raskin, my apologies. That's a lovely pass, that, as James Tavernier crosses it and it is flashed across the face.
Dessers, is it?
Dessers could not get there. James Tavernier got in.
I think that's a brilliant ball. I've got to say it. I'm going to give Dessers the benefit. He's offside again, is he?
Oh, he's miles offside. Oh wow. And he still couldn't reach it in the end.
Yeah.
It's a good move though from Rangers, you know, down that right hand side. Nice little flick from Cantwell, ball across the face. Dessers, you know, just has to hold his run a bit.
Has the ball got too much on it then? Because he's miles offside and he still doesn't touch it. So Alistair Johnson tries to fire one into that channel, but it's cut out. And on we go. We have, as quick as that, reached the midway point of the first half and nothing doing. No keepers had a save to make yet, but both have had entries into areas that might be considered dangerous for the opposition.
Yeah, interesting. I'm watching Celtic here. A lot been made of how Brendan Rodgers has changed the full-backs and it's not inverted. I've seen Greg Taylor though playing almost a midfielder for a lot of this opening 20 minutes. A lot like Maeda and him did for large parts of the season. Here's Maeda now.
Tries to find Greg Taylor, but it was an ambitious reverse pass, and Todd Cantwell does well to cover. You know, Rangers fans appreciate his work off the ball as well as on it.
He's had a wee blue pit put in his hair as well, just to
add to the occasion. You should do that.
Yeah,
you could do green on one side, blue on the other.
Yeah,
it's neutral for a fixture like this.
But
it's a blue rins you usually put in yours, isn't it?
It's been a lively game. It's not, you know, the fact that it's goalless doesn't equate with a dull game. No. It's been very interesting. You just get the impression that
it's a poor ball from Rangers just up the pitch to
Joe Hart. It looks like a game, Hugh, that both teams are frightened to lose the first goal.
Yeah.
It looks like that sort of game.
I feel though that felt like the onus before the game. You really expected Rangers to press, and you can see that the Rangers fans there are a bit frustrated. Joe Hart's able to just clip a really easy ball over to Greg Taylor without any pressure on him.
But the surprising bit about that, now I don't know what Michael Beale's tactics are he's worked on all week, but when you get that early scare for Celtic and you cause their backmen problems where you think their weakness is, I thought Rangers would have went, do you know what, Seifert, we're right on top of them now, we are not going to let them settle. I think they played into Celtic's hands by letting Scales, you know, getting on the ball, Lagerbielke getting on the ball, Taylor, McGregor's coming off and dominating one or two things. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised at that.
I think a stat popped up on the TV screen which maybe tells the story. Out of the 5 players with the most successful passes in the match so far, 4 of them are Celtic players. I'll tell you what, I don't know if Greg Taylor will be in that list at the moment, because I think that's the 3rd time he's passed out the pitch. See, as a fullback, Mark, you've got that line, that big scary line next to you that just causes all sorts of difficulties if you get it wrong.
It's an easy pass from Taylor at that time. I mean, 3 times in the first 20 minutes.
Do you think that I'm controlling Mark Taylor with my
FIFA control pad?
I kicked every ball out of the pitch.
That's an easy pass. Celtic work it well. McGregor been impressive. By the way, Lagerbielke does not look a quick player. And I'm going back to last week as well.
And by the way, he started the game all right as well, but you're right, he does not look like a sprinter, does he?
No, he looks slower than me. No, don't be silly.
See, to be honest, right, you've got to look at this 24-25. We're trying to build up, it's exciting. The offside goal, who's got to get the first goal? It's frantic as Celtic.
Because Celtic are in here, Rangers have been robbed at the back. It's Kyogo, steadies himself, and it's somehow cleared away. What a block that is from Connor Goldson. A goal-saving challenge from Rangers defender. It's not over yet though. Abada, Goldson again. Wonderful defending from Connor Goldson.
Kyogo gets this all wrong. He gets it caught under his foot just as he's about to pull the trigger. If you watch it again, he gets all wrong. It gives Butland, I'm a massive Butland fan, I think it's been a terrific signing, but he gives Butland that opportunity to make that easier save for me.
I thought Goldson blocked it, my apologies.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it's Goldson.
Well, Goldson.
I could easily be wrong.
No, and what I'm saying is, if you watch him again, he gets it caught under his foot.
Yeah, I would agree with you. What an opportunity. Almost like he had too much time coming in at the angle of the 6-yard line. He gets it then caught, like Daz says, but Goldson gets somehow in behind Butland. I don't know if it hits his back. Maybe it's something going on.
I think it's a corner. They weren't sure if the ball had gone out, but I think it's Rangers get robbed. Kyogo, he can't get out his feet, and it's what a block from Connor Goldson. And then Abada gets it back in the box again, and it's Goldson up on his feet to cut it out.
Do you know, I'm going to say that I'm wrong about Kyogo. As much as he got it caught under his foot,
he then almost scores,
he's still scoring. It's all about Goldson. Terrific defending.
Sensational defending. To then slide, and he knows he has to put his full body on the line there, and he manages to get his body in front of it.
The corner routine from Celtic is interesting. I thought Turnbull was going to swing it in. They've gone short and still can't get it in the box.
That's no one for the training ground.
No, that doesn't work out in the end. That's for sure.
I mean, it's baffling. I hear a lot of Celtic fans complaining about the lack of goals from set pieces, and a lot of it is short stuff.
But they've not got a great deal of height, Mark. I don't think you particularly need a great deal of height. You need a ball right in the money and something well worked.
No, but I get the logic. I get the logic of shifting it, but it needs to come into the box at some point.
Is it too predictable to say that the Kyogo of last season would have scored it?
No,
I
think he gets caught with it a little bit, but to be fair to him, he still beats the goalkeeper. The ball's going in the back of the net, so you've got to give him all the credit in the world. It's just fantastic defending from Connor Goldson.
You know what? Again, the pass, the way Celtic work at the press shooter.
How's that for a pass back to Jack Butland, who does really well? Fired at him, wasted.
But that Celtic press shooter win the ball back because they know he's going to take a chance and dribble, and what a pass it was through to Kyogo in the first place.
Yeah, biggest chance of the game goes the way of Celtic, but it's still goalless largely thanks to Connor Goldson. Such a key part of what Rangers do at the back. Made an uncharacteristically big error during the week, didn't he? That's an understatement.
Oh, with the goal, yeah, you just get caught. But listen, it didn't really matter at that time. It wasn't great to see for
Try telling that to Connor Goldson.
No, but
it looked like it mattered.
I think it'd be a lot worse if it was 0-0 at the time, or it was a goal that obviously put Rangers out. But the game was put to bed by then. But he's certainly made up for it today.
Lagerbielke's in a world of trouble, and Cyril Dessers is bearing down on goal. He squares it to Kamal Roof. Are we going to get the opener? Yes, we are.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And Kamal Roof makes it Rangers 1, Celtic 0, and Celtic have shot themselves in the foot. Lagerbielke dallied on the ball, dreadful defending, and Dessers did well to keep his composure, slide it to Kamal Roof, and it's Rangers 1, Celtic 0.
Well, the area of vulnerability has now been exposed in the shape of a goal for Rangers. It has been coming all afternoon. Lagerbielke, we've mentioned his lack of pace, but that was a lack of concentration. He's all over the shop, and he's robbed of the ball, and I'm afraid that Lagerbielke may go down as a player who played his first 3 games for Celtic and didn't win any of them, and in a team that didn't score a goal.
I would maybe disagree with you in the sense, Mark. I wonder if the disappointing thing for Celtic is this hasn't been coming. Celtic will have been pleased with their start to this match, and that is woeful from Lager Bielka.
Yeah, terrible. I mean, he just gets caught in two minds here. He's looking forward, he takes too long, he then decides to turn back, and it looks like he's gone back to Joe Hart. Dessers, you've got to give Dessers all the credit there as well, because he nicks in, he's bearing down and goal. I thought he spun.
Are they looking at this?
Well, we've seen I think the goal stands, but when you see the replay, the Cyril Dessers foul, Lager Bielka.
That looks like a foul.
Much like it.
That's the first time we've seen a replay.
Yeah, he's gone over to the monitor. We've got drama here at Ibrox. Don Robertson might be about to chop this off because he's looking at the monitor.
I think he will chop this off.
When you see it back, it does look like a trip from Cyril Dessers on Gustav Lager Bielka, and he might be about to get off the hook. And maybe we were all a bit unfair in our criticism of him. He still dallies.
I was going to say, no, he still deserves criticism for turning back, taking too long, allowing Dessers to get there. And
it's not going to stand, is it?
It's not going to stand.
And the goal does not stand. It's Rangers 0, Celtic. Oh no, where's he pointing? There's confusion.
Where is he pointing?
There is confusion.
It's a free kick.
It is a free kick.
Because
I believe
the Rangers fans were celebrating there.
That's what confused me. Free kick foul, says Don Robertson. No goal. Rangers 0, Celtic 0.
I'll tell you what, the Celtic supporters who come on here and have done for years and say that there is a referee conspiracy against them, what are they saying after half an hour when 2 Rangers goals have now been chalked off?
Do you think they were both the correct decisions though?
Yeah, absolutely. But the Celtic fans believe there is a conspiracy against them. So the referee has done his job, VAR has done its job, and that is a very correct decision that the referee has arrived at.
That's a big warning to Lager Bielka at the back.
Any complaints about the decision?
No, I think looking at it 2 or 3 times, Gordon, I think it's the correct decision. I've got to say, I didn't at the time. I thought he just got caught dallying on the ball, and there was good play with Dessers, but it's the right decision. But that's a wake up for him. He's got to realise, I don't get that time in this game. This fixture does not give me that sort of time to be slack because I get punished.
Scales got away with one when the first goal was disallowed, and now Lager Bielka has got away with one because he was guilty of dallying on the ball, but he was fouled in the end. But the warning signs keep coming up.
Yeah, the old heart must be racing in Lager Bielka there. Because as a warning sign, he needs to learn. He needs to move the ball quicker. He needs to be more aware of who's around about him. I think he started the game okay in terms of possession, apart from that time. But he just needs to, as I say, be aware that Dessers is always just waiting for that extra touch. Alistair Johnson doing well there to get a corner kick, is it?
Yep.
Yeah. This is. It'll be interesting to see if he puts this on top of the Rangers defence and asks a question, or he tries a training ground free kick. There you go. He's trying to, obviously he's working on different angles to put it in.
And Todd Cantwell gambles, and Celtic do get away with it, but it's a poor ball from Liel Abada.
Well, he obviously, Brendan Rodgers obviously doesn't fancy just putting the one ball into the box. He's trying to move it for different angles to get different quality balls in there for people to go and attack. But if you're Abada, I'm sorry, you got to do better than that position for
Just
me.
seen another clip of it, right? Let's revisit, because we're going back and forward. Is there a case to say Lager Bielka kicks Dessers?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. He does kick the back of him, but I think Dessers puts his foot across. I would say it was a foul. You wonder if it was in the penalty area. You know, we've seen them before when penalties don't get given for that. Sometimes.
I mean, Gordon, I feel like, you know, if
by the way, here's a comparison. Remember Abada at Celtic Park where he goes to take a shot and he kicks the back of Barisic?
I actually don't. I must
say, and he doesn't get the penalty. That's the point. He doesn't get the penalty.
Does Dessers get there first and then Lager Bielka kicks him? Is that an alternative viewing of that incident?
Yeah.
And he's in again, but Joe Hart comes. It goes over the head of Lager Bielka this time, who's having a torrid afternoon now.
Yeah, I banged on all week about his temperament for this. He looked a nervous wreck at Kilmarnock. Never mind that playing against Rangers at Ibrox with no Celtic fans inside the ground. He just looks and there was wreck.
I was speaking to a lads before the show, and we're talking about the two centre backs. Obviously all Celtic fans were doing the same, and my biggest concern was not Scales. He's played at Ibrox, he's played against Rangers. Yes, it's different, but my biggest concern was Lager Bielka. I've not been impressed with what I've seen. I know it's early in his Celtic career.
Liam Scales, by contrast, actually done alright since that.
Yeah, he's made one mistake, he made one judgment mistake, but I think Lager Bielka, it'll take him a little bit of time to get used to the Scottish game. Scales knows the pace of the Scottish game. He's been here before, he's played under that crowd. Yes, he's got a different colour of strip on, but Lager Bielka this is his first game, and I think he's finding it quite difficult just now.
Well, again, it calls the transfer window into account. Lager Bielka is the only one of Celtic's summertime signings to have made the team today from the start, and frankly, he doesn't look up to it.
At the same time, though, Hugh, on another day, Carter Vickers and Mike Nawrocki might be the pairing in there.
Yeah, that's not the point, though. That I'm only focusing on Lager Bielka as an individual. He looks slow.
No, but you did start by saying, in terms of a reflection of the summer window, and maybe in an ideal world, he doesn't play today. You're getting time to see if he can become a good signing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, again, I can only concentrate on this game, and he looks slow.
No, I know, but you started the sentence talking about the summer recruitment, so it wasn't just a focus about this game.
Well, the summer, I can't legislate for Nawrocki getting injured or any other player who get injured. I'm just saying that of all the players that Celtic brought to the club, he's the one that starts the game, and he doesn't look up to it.
What's happened here?
It? Well,
my dad just slides in.
Maeda gets there first. He slides from a long way away, but he gets the ball, goes through Tavernier, takes out Tavernier, falls on top of him, and I don't know what Don Robertson's gave here. I'm not too sure.
We're just looking at that one over the top again. Dessers was onside that time. He timed his run perfectly well. It was good goalkeeping sweeping from Joe Hart. Come out there ready.
Sweeping nice.
Aye, the sweeper keeper, as you say in the modern day trends now. But I think that Rangers are just decided to go a little bit direct this afternoon and ask the questions to Celtic back line, and a couple of times if Dessers just holds his run, he's maybe got a bit of joy out of it.
Yeah. Greg Taylor has been caught flat-footed, and Joe Hart makes the catch from Todd Cantwell's cross.
I can't believe he doesn't know Cantwell's behind him. He's standing on his heels at the edge of his own box. Yeah, it's
it's just that final third. There's a few times good positions. With the qualities on that pitch, I'm expecting a little bit better.
So far, snap judgment after 36 minutes. If you combined Rangers' defence with Celtic's attack, would you have more of a fluent team?
That's a good point.
It feels like Rangers can't find fluidity in the final third, and Celtic don't look convincing at the back.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Greg Taylor not having the best afternoon
he's
far.
probably the
Lager
worst.
Bielka, funny enough, Scales, and then Alistair Johnson. So the left side centre half and the right back for Celtic look okay-ish. But I think the Rangers fans will be disappointed that they've not seen a lot of Cantwell and Raskin in there. You know, Dad's touching it. They are going direct. They are looking for Dessers over the top, and they've been just a couple of inches short with Joe Hart sweetening up. None of their creative players. Matondo really had the ball to run at Johnson. They'd be hoping for more from a home game, I suppose, going forward.
That's a good pass from Liam Scales.
Good play.
And then down the line to Riley. We saw that sort of combination from Celtic a lot last season, where the midfielder comes across and joins in, but his cross is cut out by Connor Goldson, who's been in the right place at the right time on one or two occasions already today.
He's been in the right place at the most important time for Rangers, because if it wasn't for that, Kyogo's certainly scoring a goal. First goal's got to be so important here, I've got to say, really so important. And probably going as the game goes on, the managers with the substitutions with big decisions to make will be interesting as well for me.
Had a bit of everything, haven't we? In this, first 38 minutes. I mean, Celtic 2 glorious chances with Kyogo twice, Rangers couple offside goals, defensive.
Well, one offside goal, one foul.
One foul, sorry, yeah.
The first one is It's not really worthy of much more analysis, is it? Because it's blatantly offside, and then the ball ends up in the net. The second one is clearly the one that's going to get the debate going. Not that we need any help.
Well, if the referee goes and examines VAR and decides that a foul has been committed, I mean, you have to let it go.
Oh, Hugh, we don't let anything go. We'll be on about this in 35 years' time.
As I said to you, all the old theories have been thrown out the window today.
Can I also encourage people to not let it go? Because this radio show needs you to not let it go. That's the aim of the game, as Lagerbielke rakes another crossfield diagonal.
He likes that one, doesn't he?
I don't think Maeda likes it. I don't think that's his strength. I think you'll be saying to him at half time, listen, cut that diagonal ball out. It's no good to me at all.
Lagerbielke can't defend, but he hits a lovely diagonal.
It's the thing, Mark. It's not even that they're bad passes, they're just not really on. It's not like Maeda's in a space and then he's trying to drop it in. Behind him.
No, you really need to work out that Rangers' backline's shifted over, leaving a gap for Maeda, but Maeda's standing right beside him.
This is one of these games we can build up. It's so exciting, right? But I look at 40 minutes in the clock and I don't think there'll been a great deal of quality in the game.
I still like this one in its own way because it feels a bit edgy. It feels
a
bit nervy.
It does, nervy. I think both.
I think we've had moments of quality though. I think when you look at the
Celtic's build-up's been alright at times.
I think Callum McGregor's
I was just going to say that his ball through the to Abada was excellent, but there's a lot of good players on that pitch, and I'd like to see a little bit more.
Well, we're nearly there, Hugh. Believe it or not, in the first half. 40 minutes gone. That's a nice pass from Scales. Turnbull just tries to spin it in. Maeda is extremely quick, but Goldson does brilliantly.
Does well there, Goldson, because Maeda's thinking he's passing it back to Butland, and Goldson just turns away from him coolly.
I think the Rangers fans sitting there with 5 minutes to go are sitting in disbelief that they're not actually in front in this game. The 2 goals chalked off were correctly chalked off, but Celtic are just living on their nerves at the back.
But if you put it on the other side, Hugh, Celtic supporters will be sitting there going, we're very unlucky Kyogo's no scored.
And also our defence does look shaky. And yet Rangers are not created.
So
as much as you would
I think both camps will have a little bit of a case for who's a happier manager.
It does look like Rangers are going to continue to get openings though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I really do, unless something dramatic changes. If Brendan Rodgers can pull a rabbit out at half time, if he can get in 0-0 at half time.
A bit of space here for Matondo.
Yeah, first time really for a bit of space. Matondo, and it's a really, really poor pass. And Matt O'Reilly does excellently.
That's the story of Matondo for me. I think he gets into great position. I think he's lively. I like the look of him, but his final ball to me is ridiculous.
It looked the worst option he could have picked out of anything there. I mean, I don't even know why he's trying to pick out. There's nobody around O'Reilly. No, at worst, flash that across the face, because he gets into a good position. It's the first time we've seen him in there behind Alistair Johnson. He's dragging Lagerbielke out.
Celtic's press just doesn't really work out on this occasion, but Ryan Jack, the midfield quality from Rangers, Gordon's been not what Michael Beale would have wanted.
I think a few of the players in this game have been caught up in that. You look at Greg Taylor, who has been brilliant for Celtic. He's passed the ball out the pitch more times than he's ever done in his Celtic career. Ryan Jack there, I've always said should be in the Rangers midfield. I like Ryan Jack, big fan. Once again, easy pass. Matondo, easy pass. We've seen Turbo play a ball in behind. It was a nothing ball that defenders are going to pick up, no problem at all. Here's this long ball for Rangers again.
Celtic get themselves in all sorts of trouble, but luckily Rabbi Matondo,
I think he should score there
with a woeful
effort. All day.
I think he should score
all day. He's got open net.
I don't know if Joe Hart does shout and Lagerbielke doesn't hear him, but Lagerbielke slides, cuts it out, and then it falls to Matondo. I think Joe Hart's.
I don't know what Joe Hart's doing there.
But if he shouts though.
Yeah, but I think that he still lets his defend. But anyway, it comes to Matondo.
That's going right into Joe Hart's arms. You know if Lagerbielke doesn't clear it.
I'm with you in that time, Gordon. I think Joe Hart is taking the stress off his defence.
As long as he's shouted.
Yeah. And Lagerbielke's always stretching for that. It's a difficult one to get away. So Joe Hart should have just taken that. Lagerbielke should have left it. But after that, I know it's a difficult one, and you're 30 yards out.
On his weaker foot.
On an angle as well.
On his weaker foot.
He should do better. But
he should do better.
Is it it's not a sitter, is it?
It's not a sitter, but yeah, that's a chance, a real chance for Rangers. I think Celtic get that all wrong. From Maeda allowing Tavernier to get on the ball so easy, to Tavernier flipping one in so easy. 2 passes, Celtic in a whole load of trouble there.
I have to say that they're almost comical at the back. How they go into this half-time break with no goals conceded is borderline miraculous.
Well, we wondered why Rangers were going so direct. I think it's because they're expecting the mix-ups from the Celtic backline, and they're certainly being encouraged.
I think Michael Beale, all he had to do was look at the video or the last 20 minutes against St Johnstone and seen the 2 times they get in, one down Scale side, one down Lager Bielka, how easy it was, and they've actually adopted it. They've been in a couple of times. Celtic maybe lucky.
I don't think there's any
at half time with a 0.
There's any maybe about it. And it will go on in that vein all day because Brendan Rodgers has no alternative to Lager Bielka and Scales. They will just have to live through this.
But they've showed Celtic as well, Hugh, to be fair.
In terms of what was allowed to go on, in terms of the referee, the chance of the half has fallen to Kyogo.
He's a great. Dessers
bundles his way through. Celtic don't look strong, but then it's a good block in the end by Lager Bielka. Goes out for a corner.
They're all over the place.
Yeah,
they're all over the place. I think if Rangers up the pace of this and get it forward and get more men and put pressure on them, there's goals here for Rangers. There's no doubt in that.
2 minutes added on at the end of the first half. Can Rangers make the set piece count? Celtic probably have been wasteful from their set piece opportunities earlier on in the half.
Alistair Johnson keeping a close eye on Dessers. Wonder who's on Suter. Remember the last game here at Ibrox, it's too easy from Kobayashi that time. Yeah, James Tavernier puts the right hand up. His delivery is usually pretty good. It goes round the back and just not really one that Kamal Roof could get goalwards. Goal kick. Well, O'Reilly's following him, but Roof has a jump in him there at the back post. Ball's just too deep.
It's a hard one to score for there, isn't it?
He's going back, Yeah,
it's a hard ball to score for there.
See, it maybe should have done better when you see it from another angle in terms of directing it.
Is it when he's backtracking?
He is
backtracking. It makes it hard.
So it's difficult.
So we're nearly there. 46 gone. Rangers 0, Celtic 0. Kyogo with a golden chance for Celtic. Rangers with 2 goals chopped off. It has been interesting to say the least, and Kyogo might be in if the flag stays down. And it's a wonderful goal from Kyogo.
It must be offside.
Gotta be offside.
Is the flag up? You never can tell. Let's hit it for now.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
What the fuck? The problem is they will let it stand and then you have a look. That's
the way it has sensational finish.
I feel like my goal flash button, it's just not got the same impact the way that it used to.
It is a sensational finish from Kyogo if this stands, but Goldson heads it away.
He's onside. He's onside and this goal is going to stand, and it is a wonderful goal from Kyogo. It sits up and he flashes a right-footed volley low beyond Jack Butland into the corner. Goalkeeper no chance. And unless VAR surprises us, which it might, it's Rangers 0, Celtic 1. And that is why he's the player of the year, Hugh Keevins.
Well, that's the Kyogo of old. The Celtic fans will be ecstatic. The Rangers fans will be in a state of absolute disbelief that Gordon Dalziel 2 minutes ago said that the Celtic defence was all over the place. And those 4 words were deadly accurate. And yet they will go in at half time a goal to the good.
See, when I see Kyogo, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Take a touch. Take a touch.
I was the exact same.
Take a touch. And all of a sudden he absolutely buries that. What a top class finish that is.
Top striker that is right. Why would you think about hitting that first time?
He could easily have brought it down and dribbled it towards goal.
Over 20 yards out and he just volleys it in with nobody near him. What a finish. And if we're chatting about the Celtic defence all over the place, Goldson wins the header.
Half time, is it? No, it's the offside flag. And is it both?
Yeah, I think it's.
No one seems to know what Don Robertson's doing.
It's because it's so loud. It's half time at Ibrox. Here's Andrew and Alex.
Rangers 0, Celtic 1, the half-time score here at Ibrox. Kyogo with a great strike right before the break to give Brendan Rodgers' side the lead as the players make their way down the tunnel. It was almost a perfect start for Rangers. Liam Scales, he was caught out of position, the ball was flicked over the top, Cyril Dessers ran through, he played it across the box for Ravi Matondo, who scored, but the flag went up and Dessers was judged to be offside in the build-up. Celtic with the bulk of possession, Rangers going long, neither side really creating in the early stages of the game, although 16 minutes in, a big opening for Celtic. Cal McGregor, a great ball down the right for Leila Bada. He fired it across the face of goal. There was Kyogo at the front post. He went for the flick but just couldn't make contact with the ball. Kyogo with another good chance 10 minutes later, bearing down on goal. He got the shot away. It was past Jack Butland, but what a fantastic block it was from Connor Goldson, sliding in to stop that one going in. Then Rangers had the ball in the back of the net again. Cyril Dessers robbing Gustav Lagerbielke. He broke into the box. He chose to pass to Kemar Roof instead of shooting. Roof set himself and found the back of the net. Rangers thought they had the lead, but Don Robertson went to the VAR screen to have a look, and Cyril Dessers was adjudged to have tripped Lagerbielke in the build-up, and that one did not stand. After that, there was a mix-up at the back for Celtic not long before the break. It gave Rangers an opening. Lagerbielke and Hart not working in tandem with each other. The ball dropped to Ravi Matondo. He was 25-30 yards out. Joe Hart was way out of position, but on his left foot he couldn't find the target. And then out of nowhere, really, Celtic took the lead. The ball over the top to Kyogo, and what a strike it was. He had the time to take a touch, but he didn't need it. He just rifled it into the bottom corner past Jack Butland, and that gave Celtic the lead heading into the break. The half-time score, Rangers 0, Celtic 1, and Alex Ray, Celtic with a sucker punch right at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to give credit to Kyogo. What a terrific finish. The guys do pseudo thing, take a touch, but it hits it that early. Butland can't get set, and they go in 1-0 up. They'll be absolutely delighted. You know, I think going forward, Celtic have created a few problems down the sides. Looked a real threat. If it wasn't for Connor Goldson, we get an earlier one. Rangers have had the ball in the net a couple of times. You know, from that point of view over there, but I think Celtic's defence rather shaky. The one thing it was fairly evident when we were watching that last 10 minutes as well, there was a ball just went in behind the Rangers back line and they stopped, and they managed to kind of eventually get it cleared, but they have to give depth when balls are going over the top there, otherwise we'll get guys playing on the shoulder. His movement's so good, and when you give him more opportunity like Kyogo, will bury that, and he's done that. So obviously there'll be chances in the second half. I think Michael Beale will be in there saying, right, listen, we have to do that. They may well have to play through the lines a little bit more because they're going a bit too direct for me.
Kyogo doing the business against Rangers again. A half-time score here at Ibrox is Rangers 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, it's been quite the opening 45 minutes at Ibrox. It's had a lot of drama, certainly not a great deal of quality in front of goal, but if there's one man who tends to provide it, it is Kyogo, and what a finish it was. Let's talk about the goal first, Alex Ray. We will go through them. Where's the balance between good from Kyogo, bad from Rangers defence?
Well, listen, Gordon, the one thing we can all agree on in Kyogo, his movement's brilliant, his timing there, he's so sharp. Now it's a basic ball through over the top, and the Rangers defence have obviously tried to hold that high line, which is extremely dangerous. All you have to do is drop off and deal with the danger, and then you go in here 0-0. Now, about 5 or 6 minutes prior to that, there was a ball cleared in behind, and John Souttar didn't even there, and then what happens is you get midfield runners going in behind, and it ends up becoming a foot race. So for me, react to the situation. If the Celtic players are offside, then you can actually deal with it, and then VAR then kicks in, but at least deal with the situation. So they've never done it. The first time got lucky, the second time they get their pocket picked because of the quality of Kyogo.
And then a couple of big moments. I don't think we need to really dwell on Dessers one at the start. He's offside, it's fine, and you move on. Maybe not so clear cut, Alex. You could almost see the roller coaster in here. We thought nothing wrong with that goal at all that Rangers scored. Then you see it back, and there is clearly there is a bit of connection between the legs. But then the question is, does Dessers get there first and Lagerbielke kicks him?
Yeah, I like you, Gordon. My initial reaction was that he picked his pocket, he was labouring on the ball, and I just thought he'd get his leg round him and got the touch. Now, there has to be some sort of contact because he's trying to put his leg round him. Again, I don't know what the actual extent of it is. You have obviously seen it. They've had a look at VAR and they've decided it wasn't a goal. So, as I said, my initial reaction was that it wasn't a great deal in it, but obviously we've not the benefit of the replays. Yeah,
it's like sometimes these things are for fans, because we will, I encourage it at times, we'll debate that later. Michael Beale's not going to be in there whinging about a refereeing decision because he has a job to do to get back into this game. What have Rangers got wrong today for you?
Listen, Gordon, I think one of the key things, particularly in the opening 20-25 minutes, I felt Callum McGregor was really instrumental. You know, some of his just turning, and then he was playing balls laterally, whether it to Maeda or down this main stand side to Abada, and they were getting in far too easily. And what's happening is the Rangers midfield are a flat three, and Turnbull and O'Reilly are trying to drag them back, which is freeing up Callum McGregor to dictate play. And what Rangers are looking for is they're looking for Kemar Roof to drop in, but if he doesn't drop in early enough, then he has the freedom of Ibrox to play his way through, and Celtic have a lot of joy. So it's so important that Kemar Roof locks onto him, and if they don't do that, then go a flat two in the midfield and then push on one of your midfielders, and then you're going man for man in the middle of the park, and then that would stifle the influence that Callum McGregor had on earlier on in the game.
And for all the change that's happened over the summer, whether that's in the dugouts, in the playing personnel, in the form of these two sides, some things apparently don't change, and that is that Kyogo is a danger in front of goal. He is the difference at the break. It's Rangers 0, Celtic 1, and the second half is coming next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Everyone's paused for breath for a second or two before we get back underway at Ibrox, where it's Rangers 0, Celtic 1. That does not tell the full story. Rangers had the ball in the net very early, an easy offside decision though. They then had the ball in the net again, a bit more of a debatable one for a foul on Lagerbielke in the build-up. Celtic had a golden chance through Kyogo that was blocked by Connor Goldson, and you tend to know that you don't keep Kyogo at bay for long. He popped up, the difference maker, just before the break and lashed a wonderful finish beyond Jack Butland. Alex, I wonder, and I'm putting the emphasis on Rangers because it's the home team, it's the home crowd, we don't have any away fans. There will be a frustration at the disallowed goal for sure. Is there any frustration sort of generally throughout the half at things maybe not clicking in an attacking sense?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a few things. The final ball, as Gordon says, during the first half there, you know, you get Matondo in good areas down here. You get Cantwell on the right hand side, Gordon on the byline. He picks Greg Taylor's pocket, just dinks it into the goalkeeper's hand. For me, it's about picking that right option at that key moment, and it's just been lacking in that final third. It's a source of frustration. You're just saying to Andrew there during the break, would he make a sub so early? He tends to do it on the hour mark. You know, you've got some decent options there. You've got Seema, you've got Lammers, Danilo. You know, obviously we haven't spent a lot of money in the summer for him, and we're not really seeing a great deal of him. So you know, you just wonder why he'll make a change. The one thing we can all agree on is that there's opportunities to be had in the Celtic defence. I think, you know, I said at the top of the show there was opportunities for both, because obviously I think Stirling's done relatively okay. A couple of times Abada's get in because of the quality of McGregor's passing, but in the main he's done all right. But I think when you look at the Celtic back line, you know, the Rangers players will most certainly be thinking, we've got opportunities here, it's just about capitalising, and then, as I said, that final ball is crucial at this level.
Is there anything Rangers can do then in terms of really trying to play on that nervousness in the Celtic back line? Can they change something to really go at it a bit more? Or
yeah, I said a couple of minutes ago, Gordon, you could probably try and play through the lines a little bit. For me, they're probably going a little bit too direct. Then it becomes a second ball, and you know, I don't see Dessers running away from anyone. You know, when we were talking about Andrew, he tends to occupy between the width of the goal. There's times that the ball gets played from left centre back to right, and you think to yourself, you need to try and make a run down the channel, but he's not too keen in get outside the width of the box, so you have to then play through and try and play into him. But it looks to me he's like a type of striker gone. He wants to play the ball into him, use his physicality. There's a couple of times he's burst into the box, but it looks to me as if he's that type as opposed to be running into the channel. And that's one of the things I'm saying. Would you consider maybe putting on Danilo a bit more craft, who would go in behind, or maybe Seema, who may well run in behind Greg Taylor, because as the guys have alluded to in the studio, he's really struggled in the first half, Greg Taylor.
And from a Celtic perspective, Mark, are their deficiencies, I assume, are not something that can be fixed? You know, in a different world, that's not the centre-back pairing for a reason. There's no one there to bring on. I guess, you know, Celtic wouldn't make a change just now, would they? I
wouldn't imagine so. I think it's just a case of having a quiet word with Lagerbielke and Scales. Actually, I think Scales has been okay in the most part, to be honest. First minute, of course, culpable. Maybe looked a bit unsure just at the end, but apart from that, fine. Lagerbielke just having a quiet word. Maybe even Callum McGregor just saying to him, look, we're fine, we're in here 1-0, no damage done, just relax. and just speed yourself up a bit in possession, and that's about it. But actually, from a Celtic point of view, looking at it going forward, I've been impressed with him, because Hugh gave us a start earlier on. 29 years was the last time they went 3 games in a row without a goal. They have created today, and Abada cutting that across to Kyogo, then Kyogo the chance at the half where Goldson has a terrific block. We see Maeda getting in one time and it just got caught behind him, and then of course Kyogo's goal. So plenty going forward, good in possession. Just the back two, Rangers are smelling a wee chance here.
I'd be more concerned if it was Rangers. I think Alec makes a terrific point. I think just that direct football, Dessers isn't going to run away for you. It's not going to cause you that many problems if Lager, Bielka and Scales get their distances right. Now, as much as we're criticising the Celtic defence, and they looked a shambles at times, Joe Hart's not really had much to do. You know what I mean? He's not had a lot of saves. Rangers are at home, they've got 50,000 there. They're favourites in this game. They've went in with high hopes of going and beating a Celtic team that, looks very weak when the two centre half positions. But I don't think they've caused Celtic that great a deal of being anxious and worried. They need to up the game a bit.
Teams are back out, so let's recap them and head to the second half with Andrew.
Yeah, no changes for either side as the teams make their way onto the pitch. Rangers out first and Celtic just making their way onto the pitch now. So Jack Butland continuing in goal for Rangers. The back four, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter and Dujon Sterling. The midfield three, Ryan Jack, Nicholas Raskin and Todd Cantwell. The front three, Kemar Roof, Cyril Dessers and Rabi Matondo. For Celtic, Joe Hart continuing in goal for them. The back four, Alistair Johnson, Gustav Lagerbielka, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. The midfield three, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and David Turnbull. The front three, Leila Bada and Dyson Maeda, either side of Kyogo. Matt O'Reilly standing over the ball. Celtic have the lead as we go into the second half.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get your essential medicines and vaccines before you head off on holiday.
And there we are, we're off and running again, Hugh Keevins.
The separate life form is alive and well. There's very little about that first half which made any sense. And the Rangers fans will be outraged that on a day when Brendan Rodgers was forced to field a makeshift back four, they have been unable to take advantage of that. And Celtic have taken advantage of defensive laxity on Rangers' part. The half-time score looks like a mirage, after all that went on.
And yet, Hugh, some things are predictable. Celtic's shaky defence was shaky, and Kyogo scored a goal.
Yeah. Kyogo, that was the Kyogo of old. I thought that, coming long to get the ball, it diminishes his threat, but when
tell you what, Liam Scales, I thought Liam Scales had done brilliant to rob Dessers, and it was about to lead to a Celtic counter, but Don Robertson blows the whistle.
He had his jersey at one point as well. It was a right decision. But I've just looked at Rangers. I know it's early in the second half, but I think Rangers have been told to go and press Celtic very high up the pitch.
And to be fair though, how well did Celtic wriggle out of it
on
that first occasion?
Maeda.
Yep, did well. Scales right in his own box, but has the composure just to turn and then pick out Maeda. Very composed from the young man who's getting a bit of stick.
Well, over elaboration is a danger for Celtic at the back. The problem that Celtic have, and they have done tremendously well to be a goal up, the problem they have is that the defensive frailties will still be there in the second half, and it's up to Rangers. If Rangers can't score a goal against a makeshift Celtic defence, the criticism of Michael Beale on this programme from 2 o'clock onwards will be immense.
I think it's fair play to Lagerbielka, Gordon, because his head might be gone, and it could be, but there he gets the ball. If he was completely spooked, he would have launched it, but he played a really cute, delicate pass into Callum McGregor, who skipped away from Raskin and drew the foul.
Yeah, each one of those will do him the world of good, Gordon. I think what they'll probably say to him, look, just basics for you just now. Just get that ball, play it nice.
That's my point.
The 5-10 year.
To be fair, but he doesn't look short of confidence.
No.
After dilly-dallying, look, it was a foul. So, what else there to say about that? Of course, he maybe should have moved it quicker. But every other time, he's been quite assured when he's came forward, quite calm on the ball, picked that pass there, picked another few passes, gives it away there.
Mark, listen,
he does very well.
He does very well there.
He does. But if I was a centre forward, I would go. I always picked a centre half to play. I would go and play against him. Look,
I think physically
he's young,
he doesn't look.
Yeah, he's young in his career at Celtic, and he probably got a lot better under the coaching of Brendan Rodgers. A big game to play in. I just think he needs to settle down.
Greg Taylor gives the ball away though. James Tavernier comes forward, and Liam Scales bails out the Celtic defence, but only as far as Raskin, who is that's really poor from him. Matt Riley had an easy pass.
That's worse.
An easy pass to Leela Bada, but he tried to go ambitious to Kyogo.
That's worse. He should be playing a Bada there all day long. Once again, Raskin giving the ball away. I think Michael Beale will be trying to ask for a little bit better here, I've got to say.
What an opportunity that was for Celtic there.
Absolutely.
I mean, Abada and acres of space. Even Kyogo, if he got the ball right, acres of space. Let Rangers off the hook in that one.
No changes for Rangers, incidentally, as Andrew quite rightly told us, Gordon. Is that something that surprises you, or is it just the usual give it the 10 minutes sort of thing?
I think it'll be the reaction. He's wanting a reaction after a half time. I've got to say, I know that we were.
Yeah, I think Todd Cantwell might. I thought maybe into the book for the first time, but the referee Don Robertson just says free kick.
We're highlighting the two centre halves right now. I think the most disappointing defender at Celtic have got is Taylor.
That's got to be a yellow card for Cantwell.
Yeah,
that has got to be a yellow card. So cynical, knew what he was doing, no attempt to play the ball. Can't believe he's got off for that.
But anyway, back to Greg Taylor, you were saying?
Yeah, I've never seen Greg Taylor playing as poorly, giving the ball away as much as he has. I'm a massive fan. I think he's been brilliant for Celtic. But this afternoon, he's not on his game for some reason.
It's a slack one, and Leela Bada's into the box. He flashes it. And it's somehow missed by Maeda at the back post. Connor Goldson gave it away.
The same at the other end when Dessers missed. Hey, I'm all for the action.
Listen, I was the same. I get excited about those chances.
There's some play, I've
got
to say.
Does Butland touch us away from his
poor from Connor Goldson?
Butland touches that.
It changes the flight of the ball.
Butland definitely touches that.
I don't think it went down as a corner, did it? No, it was a goal kick. It's hard to it might have skipped in front of him, but I think it did certainly look like a touch.
I think Butland touched it. I've got to say. I think Maeda's got a tap in if he doesn't.
Well, Matt O'Reilly now keeps it away, and Todd Cantwell's coming forward, but his pass is poor. Rangers' quality in those areas, Gordon, for 50 minutes has been really lacking, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a worry for Michael Beale just now. You've got three, especially in the middle of the park, three guys I think are decent on the ball, can make things happen.
Has he at least got, and I'm not saying they definitely work, but on paper, that's dreadful from Rangers.
Yeah, they're just giving the ball away cheaply, very cheaply.
Don Robertson's really making an effort to keep his cards in his pocket, isn't he? I thought that was just the classic stopping an attack from Sterling there on David Turnbull.
It's just straightforward.
Again? Oh, it's incredible.
Here it is. I guess that's touching it all day long.
It's a terrific save from Butland because it's creating in the bottom corner.
Maeda's
putting that in the back of the net.
Well, I think it's firstly going in the back of the net, but if Butland misses it, Maeda's tucking it in. Not even a corner kick.
Poor call.
Strange.
Yeah, Gordon, I was about to say, Rangers do have. The problem is the jury is still out on so many, I guess. But Lammers is still on the bench. He's a big signing in the summer. Danilo the same. Tom Lawrence back. Sima there scored the goal in Europe. I'm not saying these are all proven players, but they're all either new signings or favourites that are returning from injury. Surely he's going to look to one of them or more than one of them soon.
Yeah, he'll probably give it another 10 minutes. And if it's not working, they're not back in this game. Matondo, to me, I keep going back to it. I think he's exciting. I think he gives you great pace. He lacks a bit of quality in the final third for me with his passing and his decision making. I think that Michael Beale will be looking to change this a little bit.
Actually, a really good play from Celtic to get out of the defensive area, but then Greg Taylor's pass doesn't find its recipient.
Can he complete a pass today?
He's been
and I've been there a load of times. Even the simplest thing you just kind of get right.
I think he's been traumatised by the beginning of the match that he had where he put the ball out the park twice.
Even his throw-ins.
I think he's worried about my tip to overtake him. Bernaby, left back. Maybe a bit of pressure put on him. But
Bernabé still a bit high on the bench. Yeah.
Celtic will be. Listen, they'll be reasonably happy. They're watching what's happening here. Once again, the ball goes out. Give it to Greg Taylor and just waste time because the ball goes out the park.
I've got to say,
that's a different one.
The way Celtic have started the second half much better than previous games, because Rangers have come out second half really quick, got a couple of goals on previous occasions. Celtic, best chance there, should have made it 2 probably, and they look assured in possession at the minute. I'm with that. Rangers really need to up it. I mean, if that's personnel on the pitch at the minute need to up it, or Michael Beale has to look at it and think we need to change something.
At what point does it become for Rangers, Hugh, a switch from, oh good, this Celtic defence are there to be got at, to why on earth are we not asking more questions of this Celtic defence?
That point is coming up very, very quickly, because as I say, the frailty that was there in the first half will still be there in the second half. They haven't sent out different people, but Rangers are not playing well enough to take advantage.
I sort of disagree with that, Hugh. I think that questions came and gone. I think Rangers should have been asking a lot more questions earlier. I thought the writing was on the wall very early in the game when they got the offside goal, when Scales goes in and misjudges the header. I think Rangers should have been right pouncing on the mistakes, and I think they've let Celtic grow into this game. And Celtic at this moment in time, you've got to say, they look comfortable with what Rangers are doing against them.
Celtic are doing very well, but the frailty is still there. At any given point, the frailty of Lager Bielka will be presenting an opportunity to Rangers.
Yeah, he's looked quite comfortable on the ball in the second half, but it wasn't a vintage first, that's for sure. And that's good a bit better from Rangers, a bit more intelligent movement. I think the flag was up, so maybe not. I take it all back.
I thought it was a good pass from Suter, actually. Nice little reverse ball, but Cantwell just doesn't hold his run. Got to say, I think Rangers fans will be disappointed with Cantwell. He's one that they look at to make things happen.
He's offside. Yeah, I think he is.
I think that's tight.
Are you looking at the fullback on the right hand side? Or this one here?
I was looking at Lager Bielka.
I think. There you go, Joe. The boy's under pressure. Just you give him the ball.
I tell you what, it doesn't matter, because at the moment Matondo and his pals will give it back to you, Gordon, by the looks of it. That's exactly what's happened.
Look, I'm not picking in players. I think there's Matondo's okay against Morton. I didn't think he was particularly good during the week. I can understand why he's getting played with his pace. He needs to brush on that final ball. His final ball is his weakness for me. And if you're in the final third and you're a danger, you've got to be good at that. You've got to either put the ball in the back of the net, pick out a pass, a terrific cross, give strikers something to go at. We can have a go at Dessers. I've not been impressed with Dessers, but I've got to say, I don't think he's had any great service.
This is going up to him. What's this from? About 40 yards out, Tavernier telling everybody to get up. They're going to try and put the Celtic backline under pressure.
I'll tell you what, it didn't initially, and it was a poor header, and Campbell, it's a really tame effort, goes over the bar.
I think the point has now come where Michael Beale has to say different personnel are required now, because this lot look as if they could go all day and not score, so it's the manager's call now.
See, the big thing here is, I know what you're saying, Hugh, so you're looking at that bench, you're looking at the signings. Who are you going to bring on that you think every Rangers fan's thinking, oh yes, here he comes, he's going to turn this game for Rangers?
Celtic get themselves in a bit of bother again at the back.
If you're playing it for the back, you cannot miss that pass from Lager Bielka there. You cannot miss it. If you're confident enough to take it in your 6-yard box and play a straight pass, you cannot miss Callum McGregor, and he does. And things have just switched. Rangers throw in deep into Celtic's territory.
The thing about Michael Beale, if he does nothing,
no, he'll do something.
Yeah,
but
Hugh's right. It simply has to be.
He'll do something. He'll bring on Danilo or Sima or something like that.
I think that's what Hugh's calling for.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what I wasn't disagreeing with him. What I was trying to explain was, because of the summer signings, there's nobody on there you're thinking is going to be
Rangers,
great.
That is better, but it's a poor pass to Cyril Dessers and then a free kick.
He's offside again.
No, I think it's a free kick on Johnson.
By the way, I thought the ball for Cantwell was okay. I may be wrong here, but I thought Dessers just looked slow.
Yeah, I think you might
be right. It was the only place Cantwell could put that, and it's, you're talking inches. He has to get it away from Lager Bielka and into Dessers' path. I don't know what Dessers thinking there.
Yeah, driving run from Suter started it all off. But again, Rangers just blunt in attack so far, but there is still a long way to go in this one.
Here we go again.
Well, we had a vape thrown on the pitch. What is it? Something like that Don Robertson's handing over. I wouldn't pretend to be an expert on these things, so I don't know.
I wonder what makes you go to football games and throw things like that onto the pitch.
Well,
imagine going to the theatre or something like that and throwing things onto the stage because you're not happy with how things are going.
Did you just ask Gordon Dalziel to imagine going to the theatre?
Yeah.
The last time he was asked to leave.
That of underwear flying on there.
I always fall back on one explanation for that behaviour, Mark.
Dim-wittedness.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was the word you were going to use. I always like it when you produce that one. Anyway, 59 gone.
Is it substitution time?
Yeah.
Is
Got
it
to
substitution time?
Either that or some sort of deliberate change to what you're doing with the players that are on the pitch, surely.
Well, that's first and foremost. I always believed if you're going to change it, try the starting 11 and change
this could be a
that.
break for Celtic. Rangers do have numbers back, but they're not in the right areas. And Kyogo's in the box here. Raskin is with him. Kyogo chops back inside, can't sort his feet out, and he spoons it over the bar just as Leela Bada was arriving. That's a good chance again for Celtic.
Big chance. You know,
What's happening in the middle of the pitch here? Celtic
someone's
player
gone
down.
Maeda's down.
Maeda off the back of Tavernier.
Well,
but what a chance again for Celtic. I think you touched on it right there, Gordon. Rangers players all over the place here, and it's one ball over the top.
It was 4-on-2 in Rangers' favour.
Yeah, and they just didn't follow the runner. Kyogo's the most dangerous man. He just peeled off the shoulder.
However,
Rangers,
here it is to Rangers at the edge of the box. It's crowded though. Matondo just trying to wriggle. I don't think he can do much more at the moment. Works a shooting chance, stings the palms of Joe Hart.
That's better.
I think a flag had gone up anyway.
But it's better play for Matondo. That's what he needs to do. We've seen it the other night when he had a great mazy run, he hit the post. But he needs to do that more and more often for me to stay in the first team.
Rangers' first shot on target? No? Am I being...
No, I think it's the first one Joe Hart's had to do anything a bit.
And it wouldn't have counted.
Come back to that Kyogo one though. I thought the way Kyogo is, he's finishing the first half. How good is it hitting it early? He was going to hit it and he's right. When he chops back too far back, if that makes sense, instead of inside, and the chance is gone.
Then once he does though, Abada arrives,
there,
so he maybe doesn't need to take the shot. Sam Lammers is getting readied for Rangers, Gordon, so that was going to be the change we think.
Yeah, you just wonder if maybe, I know that everybody will be looking at Dessers or Matondo, maybe has Roof played a lot of football?
Free kick in James Tavernier territory. Callum McGregor just took a stab at the ball, but Matondo was quicker. And how often have we seen James Tavernier make a menace of himself from here?
Well, remember the goal at Celtic Park, just sensational from about this area.
Danilo's getting ready as well, sorry.
Yeah, so Dessers is certainly exiting the building, there's no doubt about that. It's just whether he looks at Roof or Matondo to think, right, okay, Roof's not had a lot, he only had 60 odd minutes last week at Dingwall, didn't play midweek.
If Tavernier could place this ball anywhere, he would choose here for a free kick.
You fancy him here,
Ideal distance, just left the centre.
Is it a fraction further than he would like?
I'll tell you what, you beat Joe Hart for there, it's sensational.
Well, James Tavernier can.
Yes, he can. But if you beat Joe Hart for there,
maybe a step in. I'll take that back. Maybe he would place it a couple of yards further in.
Yeah. What's that? That's about 30 something. He gives it a good go.
No chance.
No, I take it back. It wasn't a good goal. It looked good initially, and then it drifts harmlessly wide in the end.
I think you were spot on. I think it was just a little bit out of range. Obviously, he does have it in his locker. He's a terrific set play.
It's actually well wide in the end.
Yeah, but that's not troubling Joe Hart at all.
Celtic again, just inviting pressure onto themselves from any goal kick. That's a couple of times now that they've tried to play out, and Rangers have won it back high up the pitch.
There are no real recognised options, but I do wonder if Turnbull off for a home or something is close for Celtic, Mark.
Yeah, I agree with that shout.
Maybe Turnbull out the midfielders that Celtic have got.
Well, the other two have been really good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Turnbull's probably the one that's been the least effective. I just wonder if Brendan will give it a wee bit of time.
Odenholm was actually called over by Rodgers. He got a few words, but he's back warming up just now, so maybe he will be first.
Says, go and tell Palmer to come in 5 minutes. That one.
Everybody thinks you're going on.
Big clap to the fans in the way in.
Tell Andy Hinkle we need him.
Honestly, there's nothing worse.
Corner to Rangers, outswinger James Tavernier, terrible ball, doesn't beat Callum McGregor at the near post, but he will get a second chance at it. And this one's a bit more of a floaty delivery. However, it's not cleared and it's flashed across, but flag up again. What is Rangers offside count here?
Do you know something? We spoke about early on about Scales. I think Scales has grown into this game. Yeah. His positional play when the ball's coming in for the wide area is excellent, let me tell you. Once again, he gets his head on it there. Look, he's covering the danger. It's offside again.
Who's offside?
Who is offside?
Is he not? I'm sure it was. Was it Dessers?
Maybe let's just check.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Change for Rangers, Hugh, and I think the Rangers fans would be saying not before time.
Exactly, because Andrew and Alex will be sitting in a stadium full of seething Rangers supporters who cannot believe what they are watching. So the manager had to do something. It doesn't matter whether the fans believe in Lammers or whoever else comes on as he takes Roof and Matondo off. They have to see something being done by the manager because he's the one that's under real pressure here.
It feels like this is Rangers' start to the season in a nutshell, Gordon. Every Rangers fan wanted to see Kamal Roof start. It was completely justified. Then he's had a quiet game. Matondo has been bright in games. He's earned his start. Then it doesn't work for him. So Lammers comes on and Danilo, but they've not done it yet either. It feels like Rangers are desperate for someone to grab their chance and really take it.
And Yilmaz coming on as well. Well, 3 substitutions. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Gordon. That was my point. I wasn't arguing against you. That was my point by saying, who is the excitement? I think Alistair Johnson's really struggling. Yeah. Celtic are going to make 3 substitutions as well.
Yeah, it looks like they are. Right, so Thiago Odenholm's getting final instruction from Gavin Strachan. Anthony Ralston's just going to have to replace Alistair Johnson because I think he's struggling fitness wise. He's been good, hasn't he, Mark?
Yeah,
Johnson.
Very good. Yeah, very good. You see Matondo getting no joy. You see Sterling down that side getting no joy. I think he can be happy.
I think he's fully fit.
Well, he's played twice, come off twice.
Yeah,
and he's limping now, so I don't think so.
It's funny because as good as he's been today, the way he moved a couple of times, I thought he did look a bit.
Yeah, he's certainly not up to speed, but it was worth the gamble. I think today, if this scoreline remains that way, then it's worth the gamble. Abada off.
Yeah, Abada's coming off as well. I thought, what's Dyson Maida doing? He's just standing next to the subs at the moment.
Yeah,
just welcoming them on.
Take me, I'll go.
So Abada,
he's done alright today. Abada, when he's been in behind a few times.
I don't think you've seen Abada second half at all.
No,
I don't. I agree with that substitution. I don't think Abada's. I think he had a terrific ball across the ball.
So just quickly to recap: Abada, Johnston, and Turnbull off. Yang, Ralston, and Holm on.
Well, Brendan Rodgers. That's a test of the manager now. Yang has looked promising, very promising. Holm, very young, potential as they keep on saying about him. But they're going to have to grow up very quickly now.
First touch for Lammers is not a vintage one, but it still goes the way of his teammate. The one thing I was going to say though, and I'll just wait until this attack comes to a conclusion. Lagerbielke clears for a corner. Apparently in the stadium, Kamal Roof's removal was not
taken well.
But you got to understand, the lad's just back from.
Yes, I know, but I think the point is, can you take Dessers off, please?
Others,
look, I'm all for that because he's offered nothing.
I think it's more that.
Depends what happens.
The corner Rangers. Here it comes, James Tavernier. Goldson's round the back. He might be disappointed that's gone over the top.
That's a poor header, I think, from Goldson.
Free header as well, Mark.
He gets away from his marker. I couldn't quite see who it is, and he's round the back. Something they've worked on.
Lagerbielke.
Yeah, Lagerbielke, but that's a poor header. You need to make Joe Hart work there or head it back across.
The modern day football is brilliant. 60 minutes in, and we get 6 substitutions.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with, isn't it?
Yeah, but Rangers, I think, got the lion's share of possession, probably the last 10 minutes here.
Celtic sitting too deep for you, Matt.
I think so.
They're going
like the
further and further back.
They need to just squeeze another 5 yards, otherwise you get balls like this over the top, right into your 6-yard box. Danilo on it now.
Yeah, Anthony Ralston I thought was favourite there, but Danilo ends up not doing particularly well. It's good, tenacious play by Raskin, but then it is all very scrappy all round as Taylor slides that to Maida. He gives it to Kyogo.
That's
Celtic
good football.
That's
good football. He's
going to line one up from distance, and it's a good save. Jack Butland,
yeah.
I think one he probably had to make, but Home thought he'd found that bottom corner, and then out appeared the big gloves of Jack Butland. Good opening for Celtic.
Good play. Yeah,
opened
nice
up for him, Mark. Opened up.
No one came out to close him down. He, right in the middle of that 18-yard line, he just tries to bend into the bottom corner. Butland, good goalkeeper that he is, kind of reads that and gets down pretty early. But promising there for Celtic. It's just saying they need to get up the pitch 5 yards. They worked it well.
But again, it is Rangers with the more sort of sustained attacks at the moment. Celtic looking to go on the break. That's not to say Rangers have created much, and that's really, really poor from Yilmaz. But because Celtic are so deep, Mark, it means that they can't really get out.
Oh, they can't get out. That's Maeda heading it away. Just about 30 yards from his own goal, but he's heading it right back onto the Rangers backline, who'd just come again. So it's always worrying. I've been there before at Ibrox. You're 1-0 up, you think, can we hold on? But you look up at the clock and you see that you've got an awful long time to go. You need to start shifting up.
Yeah, this second half's gone slowly, I think. No,
it certainly has.
It feels like it.
Come
on.
I don't know why someone has just not had a grip of him and said, look,
Lagerbielke you're talking about.
Yeah, Lagerbielke.
I think Cal McGregor's giving him it now.
He's got to just play the percentage football. I know the lad, look, it just invites pressure on you.
By the way,
but just out of curiosity, right? Because we always know how clear managers are in their identity. Is there not a high chance that Brendan Rodgers has pulled him at half time and said,
just keep
do
doing.
not change, keep doing what I tell you to do, and if it goes wrong,
I'll take the blame for it.
You
know what? See the actual pass, the ball was on, the chip ball into Yang was on, the execution was poor, right enough. But again, Celtic goal kick, give it away. Here comes Rangers again.
Yeah, Celtic can't get out. Hugh, this might be a bit of an ominous period in the game.
Anthony Ralston started it all with carelessness. As I say, Rangers will just keep knocking on the door, and one of these times.
Yeah, Tavernier to the byline, and it's hacked away.
O'Reilly, I think
by
that was.
Matt O'Reilly's in a good game.
Yeah, O'Reilly's been good.
Taylor needs to get this away because he's in all
No,
sorts
he's
of
went
trouble
for the
here.
old free kick
Oh,
one. He's not got it.
Connor Goldson's ball in. Oh, and I'll tell you what.
Who's that in the pack?
It's Anthony Ralston. I don't think he had to head it. I think
No, he didn't. It was going out.
It might even have been out already.
It might have been out already, and he's diving headed out of the back post. But Celtic just throwing bodies in front of everything there, but no real assured clearances. Greg Taylor then gets all
down.
wrong.
I think Greg Taylor might be down. No, I thought he was anyway.
Got in a corner anyway.
That's poor from Anthony Ralston, Mark. I think the ball was out.
The ball's out. He has to be aware that he's positioning. He's right in the touchline that's going out.
Can Rangers make one of these count? It's over the top, not this one.
You know the irony about this is that Celtic try to play it through the back. The goal comes from Joe Hart putting the ball in the middle of his 6-yard box and launching it up, and Connor Goldson heading it and Kyogo scoring. And every time in this second half they've tried to play it through the back, and probably on about 6 occasions they've just gave the ball away 30 yards to the right.
I did wonder if
Here
that
he
would be
is.
an exchange.
Here he is.
As his boy.
Here's a man.
Bernabe on for Greg Taylor.
Is that
going to happen?
His alarm's just gone off.
That's him just arrived at the stadium.
Thought it was a 3 o'clock kickoff.
Exactly. Sorry, Gaffer. It's the earliest I've ever been late.
But there we go. I did think. Well, look, I don't think.
The earliest I've ever been late.
I don't think Greg
like
Taylor's performance has been vintage, Mark, but he also looks like he's been struggling a little bit in the last few minutes, movement wise. Oh, here come Rangers though, edge of the box, it's shifted and it's blocked and it's a corner.
It's the wrong option.
Yeah,
I think
overlap.
Ryan Jack's got Yilmaz there.
He knows it as well.
And I don't think Ralston's getting there because Yilmaz has got the run on him. He just slips him in.
Because Jack shifts it onto his left to then hit a shot at goal, but it's blocked.
Bad decision.
James Tavernier's letting Todd Cantwell take a corner.
Well, the tide is turned in Rangers' favour here. It's all towards Joe Hart's goal. No real
Celtic
clear
can't get
cut.
up the park,
Yeah.
Mark. Can't get up the park.
Yeah, header comes in. It's actually brilliant defending.
Ralston.
Can't really see
Ralston
who it was.
it was,
Ralston
Gordon,
in the
yeah.
end. And Yang goes
got a
down.
free kick.
No,
No,
Chris
that's
says no.
too.
Tavernier whips it, and it's going to be another corner to
It's
Rangers.
the same old failing. They had possession of the ball, and he's turning and twisting, and eventually he's robbed of the ball.
Yeah, they're getting a bit overwhelmed, Celtic, now.
If you're getting this much pressure, you've got to score. You've got to put the ball in the back of the net now, because you've always got that doubt in your mind. This is going to happen,
and this could happen because Dyes and Maider's running. Todd Cantwell can't get near him.
That's
right. That's got to be a yellow.
Yeah, that's a yellow card,
and it should have been his second. So,
but then that's not the way it works.
I know,
because he wouldn't have slid into that one.
I know. But listen, I think he had to make that tackle.
Yeah.
As cynical as it is, Maeda just comes inside. The pass is there. By the way, Maeda, I think, should have moved it quicker. I don't know who it was that was inside him.
Yeah.
He had two up with him. I think Kyogo and Yang was up with him there. But I agree. I think he's got to make that tackle. Greg Taylor, terrific player. He's just had one of these games.
This is a problem for Celtic with backup in the transfer window. You're bringing on Bernabei and you're bringing on Ralston when your first two choice fullbacks are injured.
Now, see if you're Rangers and you're looking, and I'm not being disrespectful in any way here, you're looking at Celtic back four now, and you're thinking, we will never get a chance again, because that's probably their second string back four. Right, let's be honest about it. Everybody's fit, none of them are in that team.
Yeah.
So you're at home.
It was a short pass back to Jack Butland. Kyogo was on it and Butland slices it out for a throw-in.
I'll tell you, Ibrox will be full of 50,000 angry people.
I'll tell you what, if Holmes' touch was cleverer there as well, he could have kept the pressure on. But that's the problem for Celtic, Hugh. Not keeping it at the moment.
No, not bang on it. But there are 16 regulation minutes to go, and Rangers are huffing and puffing and cannot take advantage of, as Gordon Duncan described it, Celtic's reserve defence.
Poor
and
from
they still
Todd
keep giving
Cantwell.
it away.
That's slack from him. Gives it to Holmes, but Celtic don't even look like they want to go up the pitch, Mark.
No.
I'm not sure what Holmes thinking of
No,
there.
I
put it
just
back to Joe Hart on his
Just
left foot.
out of curiosity though, who is offering in front of him?
Well, just put it in a corner and let Kyogo go and chase it. Because let's face it, you just put yourself under pressure. He'd be better gone that quick. He'd better gone that quick.
Bernabei know that there was somebody behind him. Nothing behind him there.
Oh,
what is he thinking? He's obviously watched this for 75 minutes.
And he's dropped his man, and here go Rangers, and it's a miss. It is a huge miss from Sam Lammers. Goes round the goalkeeper. He was off balance,
got to score.
But he's got to score.
Got to score. I think Joe Hart does enough just to put him off.
I'm going to agree with you there.
I think Joe Hart's a great run, times it well. Bernabei just, I think he's got to score.
He's got to score.
Yeah,
he's round Joe Hart. If Joe Hart does anything well, he forces him wider, but he's still got an open goal on his right foot.
Lammers knows he's got to score. You can tell by his reaction.
He goes off balance for some reason, too.
What an opportunity.
Can we also discuss Bernabei being
I don't know why I'm laughing,
completely asleep?
Yeah,
I don't know what's happened to him.
Bernabei is on the outside looking in at Lammers inside him, and he's almost inviting the pass to go into Lammers.
Celtic, they've done everything wrong at the back, everything, and yet have not been punished.
I think they've actually defended some of the balls into the box all right though, haven't they?
I think that's been their strong point.
Like the sort of back to the wall siege stuff they've done quite well.
Lagerbielke and Scales have been solid in that respect. When it goes for a goal kick, that's when they're most vulnerable. They pass the ball to Lagerbielke, he gives it away, and they're back defending again. It's almost like a drill. And look, you've got to then turn the attention to Rangers and how many players they're throwing at this and still can't get an effort on target.
I'll tell you what, Lagerbielke playing out from the back works this time because
Brilliant.
Celtic are in acres of space and Maeda's bearing down in the box. Luckily
terrible
for Michael
call.
Beale, that is woeful and goes out for a throw-in on the far side.
Well, how many times have we seen that from Maeda? Great pace, great first touch. He just needs to guide it across that box with his left foot, and he puts it high over everybody. It actually goes out for a throw-in on the other side.
Well, so much happening, we haven't even noticed that Jack and Dessers have been taken off.
Seema
and Tom Lawrence.
There we go.
On.
I'm glad you're here. First appearance of the season for incidentally, who's come on to replace Kyogo?
I'd never take Kyogo off. You know, I would still think that he's my best bet for a goal.
Might be knackered, I don't know.
I tend to agree with that. You have always been in that camp, but I like Cole. I know that people have got their doubts about him. I
cannot believe how slack both these teams are here, and I think Scales might go into the book. He's been holding Seema back. He eventually wins it cleanly, but only after pulling them back.
As I say, the remarkable thing is that Celtic keep doing the wrong thing and Rangers can't punish them.
It's like Celtic saying, can you score against us? Rangers going, no, we can't. Is this...
that is a frustrated noise.
I keep getting back to quality
because
sometimes.
I don't really care which team it is. When they both keep giving it away, it just frustrates you as a football fan.
Look at this.
What's happening here?
See, you're a Celtic fan watching this.
I've played there numerous times, right? And I know how nervy it is when you get the ball just in your own final third. Never mind your own 6-yard box. And you're trying to play it. Football has changed so much since I've played.
Times.
Wow.
But you're right, Gordon. Brendan Rodgers will have said to his players, that's the way I want to play. I'll own it if it goes wrong.
And yeah, it's heart and mouth, but did that work out any worse than lumping the ball straight back to Rangers?
Yeah, but you give yourself more a chance of getting done by playing like that.
But you must not, otherwise teams wouldn't try it, you know.
Nah.
That's the point, isn't it? You remember the ropey moments, and I'm not saying Celtic haven't had them today.
I think especially the day I would be a wee bit more anxious.
It's a nice pass from
I
believe Yang on him.
Here goes Yang, it's nice.
I'll tell you what, he's got to pick Ralston.
And look at Ralston at position now.
Caravan time.
My goodness, Rangers just boot it straight up to Joe Hart on the break.
The downside of having a full house behind you is you get a full house of grumbles when a pass like that goes in, because that's an opportunity for Rangers to break.
I'm sure Andrew Maclean and Alex can tell us if the home fans are indeed grumbling, and Sam Lammers just pulls back Anthony Ralston.
I think there'll be more than grumbling.
Well, sometimes it's silent, isn't it? Sometimes it's apathy.
Silence isn't golden here this afternoon for them.
I know, Hugh, save the full debate for another day about away allocations and stuff, but so far this game is about to be won, unless something changes, by a goal that was met by absolute silence, with no scenes of celebration anywhere.
It's bad for the fixture, bad for the television company who underwrite Scottish football. But there is no willingness on the part of Rangers or Celtic to change this no away fans rule. I mean, Celtic actually talking about refusing to give Rangers 700 tickets for the game at New Year in
response to this.
In flagrant breach of the rules.
If this keeps up, Rangers might not want to have 700 tickets. However, fans might say no thanks.
However, we've not yet had, and it's not nailed on today because we're only in the 80th minute, but we've not had the away team winning one of these yet, have we?
No, not yet.
It's always been the home team.
I wonder if they'll go round the park clapping.
Yeah, they'll get a nice response if it is Celtic that go on to win it. But Rangers might still have a say yet.
I still think there's a goal either way.
Yeah,
there's chances still coming.
There's still a goal there.
Yeah, this is it was one of the better pieces of build-up from.
What are they doing now? I mean,
by the way, good play from Callum McGregor. Plugs that hole and just gets his body in there. Gets out to Ralston. It's a big 10 minutes, 12 minutes or whatever, 15 with stoppage time for this Celtic backline. As mentioned, at Ralston, Bielka, Scales and Bernaby. Who could have envisaged that at the start of this game? But they're holding it.
Is it worth bearing in mind? I feel like the end of some of Ange Postecoglou's trips to Ibrox ended exactly like this.
Yeah, you're right. Back to the wall,
Starfelt, back to the wall.
Rangers have been so poor.
Tavernier's been slack in this second half, hasn't he?
If
Celtic
are
in. If there's
trouble.
a pass, Celtic are in, but I think he's missed the chance. No, he hasn't. O's there. And it's O's pass round the corner. And I'll tell you what, that could have been the chance to wrap this game up. Celtic were through in good bodies, good positions.
Again, there's no point in standing here not saying what you think. I don't think O's up to it for Celtic either.
No, I don't think that was anything to do with O. I think that's
Cantwell down pretty easy. Maeda just shoulder bars some great defending.
I think Cantwell's saying he's in bother.
Yeah, he is in bother. It's Rangers, many subs have they used?
Well, they must be up at 5 now.
I think that's good play from Maeda, getting his body across. Cantwell's touch. Yeah.
But I've got to say, on the Bernaby one, I think Bernaby's got to play that quicker, Hugh.
Yeah.
I think he plays it behind O.
But at the same time, I
watch this. He plays it now.
He has to go now. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the touch there. It's killed O. Because O can't go any further. He's offside.
Tries to then flick it round the corner and it's a bit ambitious.
Yeah.
Oh, Brendan. Yeah. Seen Brendan Rodgers not happy with that. He knows what a good opportunity that was.
Yeah.
Rangers actually ended up getting bodies back quite well, didn't they? in terms of for the bit that Mo gets it, he's then got 3 right behind him, and that maybe spooks him a bit.
Cantwell looks in a bit of trouble here. Signal to the bench the minute he went down, so that tells you he felt something.
I go back to my argument about never take Kyogo off. You know, if Kyogo had been landed that ball, something might have emerged from it, but for me is not sufficient.
He might have ran his race, Hugh. He might have ran his race.
I understand that, but in general terms, Mark, I don't think that is an adequate replacement at any time for Kyogo.
I would agree. That's why I was surprised there wasn't another centre forward brought in. I don't see you as a Giacomakis.
Fair play though.
Give him time. Give him time.
He's been on for 3 minutes this season.
You said to us that Lager Bielka on the 3 watches
I went early with Lager Bielka. What
happened to give him time?
I've seen something in that I think he'll come okay with a run of games. I think he'll contribute.
How many subs have Rangers used?
I think 5.
Yeah, I think they have.
I don't really see. Is he coming back on?
He's down getting treatment off the pitch now, Todd Cantwell. Was there just a tangle of legs, or does Cantwell
tries to buy one there and go down? No,
I don't know if he leaves that left leg in, or if it just gets stuck in between Maeda as he comes across with the shoulder barge. Either way, it's ended up in a sore one.
By the way, Maeda's proved his worth today. I think, you know, he lacks a bit of quality, like we always talk about when he gets into those areas, but work rate and, you know, everything he gives the side cannot be doubted. Today he's done a great shift down that left hand side.
Ball over the top, it's a good touch, it's brilliant from Danilo, and it's a great save from Joe Hart. That's the best chance Rangers have had. It was actually a quality play by Danilo, who obviously has had a slow start to life at Rangers, and I think credit goes to Joe Hart, but Rangers are not done yet. Here goes Sima across the face, and Joe Hart makes the save with his feet.
That was a nice hockey save. The goalkeeper.
Do you not think one?
I think
Sima should do better there as well.
Anyway, that's a chance. That's the chance. Rangers have been waiting for Hugh.
I mean, I have been critical of Joe Hart, but he's made 2 excellent saves there to keep Celtic in front. But my goodness, it's now just about Rangers versus Celtic's defence.
Cantwell back on, and
dear me.
I don't know what Ralston's thinking there.
Just waiting, and the ball going out to Yilmaz, and he does recover well.
Doesn't half well done, son. He does. It put himself in a wee bit of trouble. Good football.
Celtic play their way out of trouble really nicely. He's up to surely that's going to be a bit of a wrestling match.
Celtic midfields just went missing. But I'm trying to think, is it through their fault or through Joe Hart giving it to the back line to giving it away in the Celtic midfield, just having to defend? Not really had any real prolonged periods of possession that McGregor and O'Reilly can knock it about.
Bernabe, what?
His alarms went off.
No.
He's sleepwalking. He's in his pyjamas.
Actually, Bernabe and Ralston, you know, again, Rangers are shocking if they can't take advantage of this.
There is, at least though, on what we've seen so far, there's a bit of fight from Anthony Ralston. You know, if he is in trouble, he battles hard to get himself out of it. But Bernabe just looks like
he's out for a show.
He's not really bothered. It's just a Sunday afternoon in the sun.
He's playing like someone who doesn't know where he is.
It was a real good touch from Danilo, and he did a lot right. But by the time he chopped back in, it was Joe Hart who was there to smother. And then actually has a good chance when it comes back across, but it's a bit tame.
He should have done it better with that chance. I know those ones are hard where it's coming across you, but a centre forward, and a good centre forward, I think puts that away.
It's a mistake from James Tavernier, but Maeda can't squeeze it past Jack Butland, and right at the other end Celtic had a golden chance to win it.
To say that this game is error stricken it would be no understatement at all. Both sides have been a shambles, but we're still 87 minutes in now, regulation minutes, time added on, still a chance. There's got to be a chance of a goal at either end.
Yes, but it might be that. Lager Bielka gives it away. Rangers are into the box. Lager Bielka recovers. Todd Cantwell picks it up. It's mistake after mistake from both sides, and it's about who can punish the other one. So far only Celtic, as it comes into the box, and Joe Hart is going to clear it long this time.
I love good football. I like watching it to the back. But at this point, game management, you're 1 up, you're 3 minutes to go. Don't be trying things like
I
that.
thought to be fair though, I wonder if the full game swung, because look, Celtic did go long here from Joe Hart, but it goes straight back to Rangers, and then
it's better losing the ball up there than on the edge of your box.
Lagerbielke clears this time out for a throw in. Surely there's going to be something of a Rangers onslaught. They've got the full 50,000. There's 3 minutes to go. Michael Beale needs some sort of reaction here, Hugh.
Yeah, because it's all down to Michael Beale. Come full time, it's all on Michael Beale, because you cannot go out of the Champions League having lost 5-1 in Holland on Thursday and then lose to Celtic at home with not a Celtic fan in the place on the Sunday. It's all on Michael Beale in 5 minutes time if Rangers do not get a goal.
There's two ways of looking at this. See, if you're Rangers, you're looking at it and thinking, if we can't score against Celtic today, we will struggle to score against them. But flip that over. Celtic come out there with a clean sheet, you'd be delighted with your back four. You know they're not the starting back four every week. Of course they're not because of the injuries, but they've went to a difficult place against a team who went in favourites, 50,000 in front, and you walk away with a clean sheet. You'd be over the moon.
Yeah, if they can do it, if they can see it through, but it is not done yet. Todd Cantwell tries a really strange pass in the middle of the park and allows Home to flight one over to Yang, who we've really not seen.
He's got to take him on.
But he does. He takes Yilmaz on. He turns him inside out too many times, perhaps. Falls over his own feet.
I think that sums the second half up for some players there.
I think the call has been
tied bizarre. Himself and not
himself and
not there.
And then just when he flicked the ball was brilliant,
because I think he had beaten Yilmaz as well.
Yeah.
Now this is where Celtic have a decision to make, because they've done well.
I would take it in there all day long.
Corner, but how long can you do that for?
It doesn't matter. Get in there. Get your John McGinn in.
Give a throw in away though. Actually, 30 yards from goal. I don't know.
Yeah, what's happened here?
I think it's just a bit of a lull in play. Just getting a look at Yang again. He was twisting, he was turning. I
don't even think he knew what he was doing.
Do you know what? There is a nick. There is a nick on his toe.
I thought.
Clearly not enough.
They appear not to be having a look at it.
No, they will have had a look, but it'll just be what they call a silent check, because they look at everything in these areas.
Celtic fullback Bernabé is
he's not having the day, remember. I think they'll bring Greg Taylor back on.
I think they'll bring Mark Wilson on.
Yeah, get me on, by the way.
You get John Clark out the kit room.
That's good play with Maeda there, just getting the throw in.
He's been effective, hasn't
he? Has.
You know you're going to get the odd cross into the stand.
Well, you look at Tavernier, he's not been effective at all today. So that plan certainly worked for Celtic.
We've reached 90 minutes. The board has not gone up, but it will go up in the next second or two, unless I was dreaming. Seven to go here at Ibrox, so it is not over yet. Can Rangers rescue something in that 7 additional minutes? Because as it stands, this would be a huge victory for Celtic.
Well, an amazing victory for Celtic. Rangers don't look good enough to me to get a goal, and Celtic, for all that they've been,
surely they'll create one chance in the last 7 minutes.
To be fair, the Danilo chance is a good one. The Lammers chance is a good one.
Yeah.
But for all the frailty, for all the mistakes, Celtic have hung on.
Yeah, here are
They might
Celtic
even
again
had to.
at the edge of the box. It's actually tenacious stuff from Todd Cantwell. Does really well because he looked second favourite, and Scales might have to bring Sima down here. It's just a great tackle.
Great tackle from Scales.
He's grown into the game. He had a
100%.
bad mistake, but you cannot put any blame at his door. I think he's played very well in that position.
Tavernier's been way off.
He's terrible. He's been terrible.
Even at that, Gordon, right? We are all guilty of this. You latch onto something. You mentioned the mistake it was, but he came for a header in the middle of the park and missed it.
Yeah, it was exciting. It's the first one.
It's not crime of the century, I don't think.
Yeah,
I know. We're highlighting that more than the Golson header and Suter that costs the goal. So Scales has been very, very good. I think today Lagerbielke not so much in terms of possession. He's kept trying to play. Give Lagerbielke huge credit for that, because that is not easy. But he's kept the ball away probably about 70%
I'll tell you
of the time.
The Rangers fans will be, if this stays at this, will be absolutely gutted. They fancied this big time today. They really did.
Yeah.
They went into this game thinking, we're going to run all over the top of this Celtic team. Look at the way they're going. Look at their back men. Look at the injuries that they've got. We're at Ibrox. We get 50. If you're a Rangers fan, you've got to be disappointed so far with this.
Yeah, there might be time. There's still 5 minutes left of this game, a minimum of 5 minutes left. And Celtic have not kept the ball in a long time. As
Home just gives it away there needlessly. Good play for Burnaby actually for once. Nice ball into him, gives it away. But here come Rangers. You think there'd be another chance in this for either side.
Yeah, James Tavernier's not had a vintage afternoon, but he comes striding forward, makes a bit of an opening for Yilmaz to join in. He chops inside. He's got a bit of space, you know, as he flights one out. And here's Todd Cantwell into the box, straight at Joe Hart.
That's a bad attempt by Todd Cantwell. That's a very good chance. You've got plenty of space, and he's simply not taking advantage of it.
He's another one I think's been disappointing. I don't think he's been at his best. I like Cantwell. I think he's got a lot to offer, but he's not really influenced this game anyway at all.
Well, Celtic through Joe Hart trying to go long, but
well, they've got that option now, Hugh, with up there, but needlessly just bundles into Connor Goldson, and Rangers just reset it and allows him to come back at them. He's got to be better up there from O.
Rangers have about 4 minutes to rescue this, otherwise Michael Beale will come in for a world of criticism.
Well, as I say, you cannot go out of the Champions League and lose at home to Celtic in the space of 4 days and not get the roof caving in on you.
I think especially, Hugh, it's a depleted and out of form Celtic. That adds to it, doesn't it?
I mean, you're talking about...
They are the champions, they are the treble winners, but they didn't swagger into Ibrox, did they?
No, you're talking about a game that started with a makeshift defence, and then injury took over, and you've got both fullbacks removed and 2 fullbacks who've come on who are all over the place, and yet no matter what, Rangers cannot take advantage of this.
I've been unfair in Ralston a bit. I don't think Ralston's been totally all over the place. I think Burnaby has been questionable.
I think you can get away with getting put out of the Champions League and losing to Celtic, Hugh, but in the right way. If they were unlucky in midweek and they've come out today and really battered that strong Celtic team.
Maeda's in and it's flashed across the face, and Celtic almost getting a toe on it to make it 2-0 and put this game to bed. I think it was it Yang
in
coming
the
in at the back post.
Great chance that was.
Good play from home there. Turns whoever it was in the midfield there, plays a through ball. Good ball this time for Maeda. Just Yang can't make it up. But even that, Yilmaz gets the ball because Yang misses it, and he kind of just ambles up to the halfway line.
How much space is this for Lammers on the edge of the box, and he hits it right off the face of Danilo.
Gets another chance.
But he does get it back.
He could get a bit of luck here with this.
This could be the one that flashes past from Todd Cantwell. Not even close in the end.
Saved your seamer there, and you've got Burnaby 1-on-1 in the box. You have got to go at him. He just takes the easy option. It's a poor ball.
Seamer's extremely quick for all whatever else
but you're going to commit Burnaby.
He doesn't do. He's very quick.
Well, guys, a minute or so to go. Would you have said about 70 minutes ago Celtic have a clean sheet?
I know, it's unbelievable.
You've got to give them credit, right? As much as you go on about, well, Rangers X, Y and Z, you're going to have really hard, and you mentioned it there, right, Gordon, 2 wins in the last 9 at Ibrox, and you go there with a makeshift team, and so far clean sheet, and you might walk away with 3 points. Doesn't get any better for your Celtic fans just now.
Had a ropey header a moment or two ago, and I thought Maeda could have maybe nipped in front of Jack Butland, but he decides not to. And Rangers cleared up the pitch. Tom Lawrence penalised for a foul, and there's 1 minute remaining. 1.
Lawrence is one that's come on, and we've not even spoke about him. I don't know if has he had a touch of the ball? Has he been in possession at any time?
He has. He's had a couple of touches in the middle of the park, but not influenced it. Lammers could have been the good substitution if he puts the ball in the back of the net. Danilo as well could have been, as Rangers fans, disgruntledly leaving Ibrox. They think it's well over now.
Well, some will leave, Hugh, because they think it is over, and others might still think it's over, but they'll stay to voice a bit of displeasure at the end of this.
For sure. This will rumble on for a long time. Celtic are just trying, but they cannot keep the ball up there. They can't even do that and stall for time, but 30 seconds left.
Yeah, this is going to be it. Jack Butland is going to just launch the free kick.
Yeah.
Remember, it is a minimum of 7 minutes because it doesn't allow for stoppages within the additional time it goes long. This will be it, and it's a decent header, but it does fall to Todd Cantwell. 1 chance for Rangers. This is it. It has to come to something, or it is game over. Brilliant tackle in the middle of the park, and that is that. Full time at Ibrox. Let's speak to Alex Ray and Andrew Maclean.
Rangers 0, Celtic 1, the full-time score at Ibrox, and some boos around Ibrox as that full-time whistle went. Not a game full of quality, but it was a really good strike from Kyogo that has given Celtic all 3 points. Rangers had the ball in the back of the net really early on in the opening minutes. Rabbi Matondo it was, but Cyril Dessers was offside in the build-up. Then a couple of chances for Kyogo. He failed to make contact with a front post flick in the first of those. The second he was denied by a wonderful goal line block by Connor Goldson. Then Rangers thought they'd taken the lead. Cyril Dessers robbing the ball from Gustav Lagerbielke. He broke into the box, cut it back for Kemar Roof, who found the back of the net. Ibrox went crazy. They thought they had the lead, but Don Robertson went to the VAR screen and ruled that Cyril Dessers had fouled Lagerbielke in the build-up, and that one didn't stand. Then right before the break, Kyogo took this chance and took it so well. Matt O'Reilly with a header over the top. It dropped nicely for Kyogo, who could have taken a touch, but he hit it first time, and what a strike it was. Buried it into the bottom corner for 1-0. There was still a lot of slack play from both sides in the second half. Not really a lot of clear-cut chances either. Odenholm was forced a save out of Jack Butland, who got a vital touch and a ball across the face of goal as well. Rangers tried to push for an equaliser, but they just didn't have that quality in the final third. Sam Lammers rounding Joe Hart but firing wide from an angle. Danilo then having a shot saved from Joe Hart as well, and a team effort from Todd Cantwell towards the end of the game really summed things up for Rangers. Celtic moved to the top of the table, 4 points ahead of Rangers heading into the international break. The full-time score, Rangers 0, Celtic 1, and the Rangers fans making their voices heard at the moment, Alex.
Yeah, the Rangers players are going round and showing their appreciation for the support, but you have to say the fans are not happy with that performance. The one bit of quality throughout the course of the game was Kyogo with that brilliant finish just before half-time. As you can hear the boos ringing out, Andrew, this was an opportunity to get something from the game with a makeshift Celtic backline. They didn't create too many chances really, and ultimately they've paid the price for that, you know. And if you defend in the manner that they did for the goal, you know, it was just a straight ball through, caught in their heels, and unfortunately it's happened time after time at the start of this season where they've gave away cheap goals, and that'll be a concern for Mike Beale, who is seriously under pressure now.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of quality in the game, as we said. Kyogo took his chance, didn't he, and took it so well.
Yeah, I have to say, listen, once it fell there, he hit it so early. Butland didn't have an opportunity to set, and ultimately that is a decisive moment within the game. But Rangers didn't do enough, Andrew. You know, Joe Hart made a save, but there's opportunities came their way, and Rangers went out with a whimper really, and you can hear the discontent with the Rangers fans, and understandably. Yeah, and you look at the aftermath of this game, because Celtic will take confidence from the fact that, you know, they didn't play particularly well either. They had a makeshift defence, but have still managed to come to Ibrox and get the win. And on the flip side of it, Rangers came in, yes, there was that defeat to PSD, but they maybe came in a slightly better frame of mind, and, you know, they've gone round, they've tried to applaud the supporters. Many of them have stayed in here to let the players know exactly what they think of that performance. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, regardless of performance, this is all about winning. These games are about winning. We spoke about the importance of setting up your season. You've got a fortnight now before they resume after the international break, and it's going to be a long fortnight, believe me, for these Rangers players, because from every pundit, radio station, media outlet, they're going to be getting a barrage of abuse for that performance, because they just didn't do enough over the course. They lack quality. Now, Michael Beale was heavily funded in the summer at the top end of the pitch, and he's been let down by these players. You know, you look at it, the players that have come on, have they made a real impact? Not for me. You look at Dessers, you know, there was boos rang out when Kemar Roof went off. I understand why he went for Kemar Roof, due to the fact he's been out for so long, because, you know, you don't want to kind of risk the reoccurrence of that injury. However, Dessers is not bringing it there either. Lammers, some of the key players, and unfortunately the players that have come in the summer are letting them down at the moment.
Well, Kyogo the match winner here at Ibrox, the full-time score, Rangers 0, Celtic 1.
And now it's over to you. 0141 951 1025. What did you make of that? Celtic fans, how pleased are you? Some of you feared the worst going into today. You've left with 3 points, and you're 4 points clear of Rangers at the top of that table. And Rangers fans, where did it go wrong? Where has it been going wrong? Where are the new signings stepping up to the plate in front of goal? And how does this reflect on Michael Beale? Give us a call right now, and we'll speak to you next.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lookers Land Rover. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast. With Lookers. New or used, they've got something for every taste. Visit them today. After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Duncan are in the studio. Alex Rae is at Ibrox, having watched Rangers against Celtic, where Brendan Rodgers' side leave with a 1-0 win, 3 points and a 4-point gap over their Glasgow rivals at the top of the table, heading in to the international break. We are opening the phone lines right now until 4 o'clock, so get in touch and let us know what you made of it. In game, what were the big talking points? Kyogo's goal, how good was it from your perspective? Celtic fans, Rangers fans, what was the defending all about? Thereafter, who was good, who wasn't? What about Rangers' disallowed goal for an apparent foul on Lager Bielka? I think that might get you all arguing with each other. And then the bigger picture, how does this reflect on Michael Beale? What does this say about the strength of the two teams? How does this set us up going forward? Lots to be answered, Hugh.
I don't think that you can lose heavily midweek and go out of the Champions League and then lose to a makeshift Celtic side, minus so many players because of injury, forced to make 2 changes during the match because of injury, and still you can do nothing about it. It exposes Michael Beale, it exposes the signings he made in the summertime because they did not deliver for him, and he is in big trouble with the Rangers supporters. It's not the end for him, but it could be the beginning of the end for him.
Alex Rae, is that what you expect to come through from Rangers fans? We don't tend to do calm levels of understanding on days like this.
Yeah, I think the level of discontent that was shown, and to be fair, Gordon, there was a large proportion that already left by that stage. So, listen, it's very difficult when you're in these situations as an old firm manager, when you're out of Europe. Then you lose to your biggest rivals, with the greatest respect to a makeshift backline. I think there was an expectation today from Rangers fans that they could most certainly get something from the game. But the one thing about this Celtic team, Gordon, is they have the know-how to, see out games, grind out results. And with that quality at the top end, I said at the start, it kind of panned out in some ways the way we felt as if it was going to. Middle to front, Celtic are very good. Defensively, they were a wee bit ropey today, but Rangers just didn't have that quality to capitalise. Obviously they get the 2 goals, but one was clearly offside, and again we'll debate that one with Dessers and Roof situation, but in the main they didn't really trouble Joe Hart too many. There was a time in the second half where Joe Hart's swiftly out and he gets that, so they didn't ask enough questions, and there's more questions for the Rangers manager and these Rangers players, because these players are letting the manager down, Gordon, because they were all brought in for decent dough in the summer, decent money, and they're not performing at the level required.
Let's go straight to the phones. Billy is a Rangers fan in Springburn. Billy, what's the feeling after that? Are you frustrated? Are you angry? How would you sum up how you feel?
Really frustrated. I think Beale needs to go. I think he's bringing in quantity instead of quality. He's barely strung a pass together today in the midfield. I mean, defence, usual mediocre, and he's playing against a mediocre Celtic team. That should show how bad we are. To me, unfit Morelos would do more on that forward line than what the rest of them would do.
Is that the word you use, Billy, frustration? Is that where it comes from? Because let's be honest, you and your fellow Rangers fans, you were annoyed at the PSV game, but you felt confident today, didn't you? It's the hope that kills you.
Well, you're playing at home. I mean, you say again, you're hoping the best, but I've seen nothing. I've seen the improvement in this team. And Van Bronckhorst got sacked for less, quite honestly. I mean,
well, Alex Rae, it's the first call, and it's maybe an indicator of a large section of the Rangers fans. I don't know. Is it early to be properly questioning Michael Beale's role?
I think there'll be a real source, and Billy touched on it, a source of frustration. There will be people who come on and say they want a change now. I think it's a bit premature. I don't see the board actually, sanctioning that, having given them so much money in the summer, having went out and actually kind of paid money to QPR to secure his services. But there has to be a dramatic upturn in the performances, because there hasn't been a level of consistency game on game where you're thinking, right, okay, it's clicking together. I've seen it today, and I mean this for both teams. Obviously we're talking about, there was times when there was some good passages of play, but in the main the level of quality on show was really poor. It was, You know, and as I said, from a Celtic perspective, it's about winning a game. That's the be-all and end-all. But the lack of quality, particularly in a strange kind of way, where you have all these quality players at Rangers' disposal and they're going from back to front, particularly in the first half, which I found a strange tactic. Because you've got Raskin, you've got Cantwell in the middle of the park, you've got Kemar Roof, guys who like to pop the ball and get in, but it became more of a fight. Maybe they just felt as if they got back to front, they could maybe bully the Celtic backline, but I think you've got to be looking for more there in terms of style of play, because we hear about how good Michael Beale is as a coach, but you're looking for that identity and that kind of rhythm on the park, and it doesn't seem to be there. That sort of Beale out mentality, Billy, do you think is that heat of the moment? Is that something you think you'll still wake up with tomorrow morning? I've been saying it for the start of the season. I've seen the improvement. He's brought a lot of, I keep repeating myself, he brought a lot of quantity and no quality. He's not replaced it. He's not replaced Morelos. I know Morelos said his fitness, but one thing about Morelos, he'd always get a game, even when things are not going through. The forward line's mediocre. The defence is still losing goals. In the midfield, they're not passing the ball. They went for route one with no height. No height in the forward line. What are you going to route one for?
I think he did that because he suspected that Lagerbielke and Scales wouldn't be able to stand up to it all day. And he was wrong, and he was let down by the players. The signings have been called into question tonight. Danilo, Dessers, Lammers, who had a bad miss. They've all been called into question. And that's on the manager as well, because he said that he had signed a group of players to re-energise and revitalise Rangers. They've played 4 league games. They've lost to Kilmarnock. They've now lost to a makeshift Celtic at home. He's got 6 points from a possible 12. He's got Europe coming up to meet him because he dropped out of the main competition. Now he's into the Europa League. Real Betis will be first up at Ibrox. I think if he lost that game at Ibrox, that would be the start.
What it sums up to me, Hugh, it's simple for me. I look at 8-9 summer signings coming in. I would love a Rangers supporter to come on this phone in and tell me what one excites them. Because I've looked at every single one of them, and I'm all for give people time and whatever, but these games are coming thick and fast. They're important games to Rangers as a club. Every Rangers supporter in this country that supports Rangers are the ones that went along there today expected Rangers to win this game, and some of them expected to win it comfortably, and I can understand why. I read a lot of things about Celtic. I spoke to Celtic supporters that were so concerned. We had people on this phone in saying we would take a draw because of the situation. We're not playing well. Been knocked out the cup with Kilmarnock. We've got a lot of injuries to our defence, and yet the pitch up at Ibrox today, they walk away 3 points and a clean sheet. Someone will need to tell me the summer signings, who excites them? Who is the one that's going to be the standout? Because Michael Beale's crying out for someone to come on and bail him out today, and nobody in that pitch, his new signings, are able to do it.
Yeah, and they get pass marks for Rangers, Alex.
The only listen, and this will be it, the only one that's stood out for me so far is the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Sorry, Alex. Sorry, I apologise. Yeah,
that's
agree with
only.
that.
And listen, obviously you've got Balogun, who's not really kind of featured much. But in the main, I take Dazzy's point on board, because you're looking at the marquee signings. Danilo, you're looking at Dessers, Lammers, guys you've paid a lot of money for. Seamer's come with a big reputation as well, and he's flattered to deceive as well. Dowell is sporadic earlier on. So in the main, and this is what I said post-match, I says the players are letting them down. And it's not necessarily just aimed at the signings that come in the summer, because it's a collective thing. There's other players as well that are not playing at the levels now. Raskin and Cantwell, for me, from January up until May, you thought, right, that's a very nice little start. They've hit the ground running, so forth. They're not dictating the match like they were doing in the opening few months. I'm not quite seeing that level of performance from they two either.
Is that on them, Alex, or today? Were they asked to dictate it today? When you think of the approach Rangers took? Yeah,
well, listen, I think in the second half, I think Rangers tried to play a little bit more than granted in the first half, Gordon, because I identified that they were a bit back to front, and obviously when Dessers comes on, then you lose that physical. Dessers come off, you lose that physical, so they're trying to pop that about. But I'm still not seeing the two guys dictating and driving forward. Like a prime example would have been that Cantwell at the end. He gets a brilliant opportunity from a diagonal from Yilmaz, and it's tepid, to say the least. You know, you're looking to try and drive that back across goal to the far second post, and he doesn't do that. So it's okay kind of digging people out, Gordon, and you're telling the new arrivals, and they haven't hit the ground running, but the guys that are here as well still have to be responsible as well.
Okay, let's thank Billy. John is in East Kilbride. John, how would you sum up your feelings as a Rangers fan having watched that?
Terrible. I think, if I can say this, Michael Beale has had his chance. He'd probably be better off with Ian Beale and Cathy Beale for his senders. That's the thing. But can I say this? Rangers have been going backwards for long enough, and they say Michael Beale has been doing this, and Steven Gerrard been doing that. Why did we not give Steven Gerrard all the money that we're giving Michael Beale now to guys who want to, I've got a point to prove? No. You don't prove a point with spending that amount of money. No chance at all. We should have given Steven Gerrard that money, and we'd have still where we're doing. We went backwards for a simple reason. Young boys of Switzerland, they're now in the Champions League. We spanked them. Royal Antwerp, we beat them and all in the Europa League. They're now in the Champions League. We can't get near that now. And we are just not good enough to beat a two-bob Celtic defence with the players that we've got. Nah, Michael Beale is not the answer.
Well, I don't know what Cathy and Ian's credentials are, to be quite frank about it.
But yeah, I think the first two callers, though, do indicate the feeling of the majority of the Rangers supporters. I think they're looking at Michael Beale and saying the new signings aren't working, and it's down to you because you signed them. There's no point in going on about Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard got out of Rangers what he wanted, which was a move to a big English club.
Does the weight of that point, though, or that opinion not carry itself heavier after 10 games or 12 games? You know, if you sit, so for a second, I don't care if it's Michael Beale or it's Rangers, if you allow a manager to bring in 8 players in a transfer window, do you then talk about sacking him 2 days after that window closes?
I think we have to bear in mind today the parallel universe in which we live. If you go down at home to Celtic and a Celtic team missing several top-class players, and a Celtic team forced to make in-game repairs because of injury to both fullbacks, and a defence that has lived on its luck, lived on its nerves, call it what you will, and you could not, having brought on even more of your summer signings, you could not make an impression on them, then it's the game like no other. This fixture, the derby, Rangers versus Celtic. If you are abominable in that game, and Rangers were, that's where Michael Beale now, you heard the reaction of the crowd when the Rangers players went round the park. That was open hostility towards the Rangers players from the Rangers supporters. So that's why Michael Beale is now under severe pressure.
Yeah, I think he'll come under pressure. I agree with you, Gordon. I don't think Rangers are going to, pull the trigger on him. I think the Rangers fans tonight will be very angry, frustrated, everything, because they thought that they'd get into this game this afternoon, they were going to win the game, pick up 3 points. Everything was in their favour, let's be honest about it. I do concern myself over the signings. I do concern myself over what Michael Beale's trying to, his game plan is. I don't see it. I look at the other side of it today. You watch some of the passing, the movement that Celtic were producing, and you could see that was worked on the training ground. Now, Alec has already said it, and I've heard it a million times, and I don't deny it, I don't doubt it. Michael Beale is a very, very good coach, but I don't see that in his players in a match day. And I think that, I was looking at this game today, and you've got to, first half, I totally understand Celtic have got 2 guys in the middle of the defence, let's test them, let's go long ball, but you've got to have plans where you mix it up, you play through the middle of the park. Rangers have got good strength in the middle of the park.
You guys know more about how these things work out, so to a simple football fan like me, just because you want to test a back two, that doesn't mean you keep lumping balls 100%. Onto them. Can you not move them around? Can you not slide balls down the side of them?
Think
Can you
the
not try and
problem-
draw them into
yeah,
areas that
for-
they don't want to be in?
For Rangers fans today going along, you see that at the start, and I think you accept that tactic at the start. But you're totally right, Gordon. There's more ways to get a makeshift backline than just going direct. But the problem is, they saw it in day one of the season away at Kilmarnock. We stood here and watched that first half, and we are going, wow, I didn't expect Rangers to be working on this all summer. And that is, I think, the main problem that those Rangers fans we saw voicing their concerns is, since he came in the big games, the bigger games, you struggle to put your finger on what the kind of style is for Rangers. Now, over the summer, where you get the period then to work with your players and your new signings, I think the Rangers fans hoped for a style, even if you lose games, and I don't think they're seeing it. Never mind the personnel, I don't think they're seeing the reflection of the manager on the pitch.
Thank you very much to John in East Kilbride. We're going to speak to Andy, who's just left the game. I don't think he's pleased with what he saw. We'll hear from him next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboards Open Line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel in the studio, Alex Ray at Ibrox for now. We'll keep him until he gets chucked out, and hopefully we'll hear from the managers quite soon as well. I know that Andy is at Ibrox, or is from Ibrox, sorry. Andy, how do you feel as a Rangers fan after that? What sort of words spring to mind if you keep them clean?
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm actually about to drive back to Newcastle, so I've got a 3-hour contemplation of what I just saw.
Oh no.
Incredibly disappointing. I've been a Beale supporter, and he had time last season. I think we gave him a lot of money, and I think for me, as extreme as it might sound, I know it's the popular opinion, that's time for him to go. I don't think the gamble's paid off. I can't see any idea like it's going to pay off. Last year, Postecoglou started with 3 wins, a draw, and 3 defeats, or 2 years ago, sorry. But you could see what he was trying to do with that team. I can't, and no other Rangers fan can see what Beale's trying to do with this side. I can imagine trainings full of lovely one-touch passes here and there, because they keep trying to do this same goal that never pays off in a game, and it's just not working out. Butland seems to be the only player there who seems far too good for the SPFL already. But for me, I think the board needs to really, own up to this. It's not this board's mistake. Beale needs to go tomorrow, and for me, take the Europa League money that we've banked and look at Graham Potter. Would he come to Scotland and give us a couple of year contract? I don't know who else is out there, but I would make the change now, because that was a very poor Celtic side as well, and I think Celtic fans know they got away with one today. They were extremely poor and haven't looked the same side, but we never laid a glove on them, and that can't go on.
Is that a legitimate complaint, worry, Gordon, about seeing what's trying to be done? I know that this is different because Michael Beale's been here a while. It's not like he's just in the door. But if we're talking about, sort of a new team or whatever at the start of a season, remember when we saw Ange Postecoglou come in and everyone said, well, like, Celtic are losing games here and they're not getting results, but you could quite clearly see like what the plan was, and then before long it clicked and they were up and running. But Andy's sort of worry here is like, I don't see it. It's not like I see something that's close to working and just needs fine-tuned. Andy's saying I just don't see what the plan is.
I said that a couple of minutes ago. I'm not doubting for a minute that Michael Beale, because I've heard so much about how good a coach he is, but I do not see that going from the training pitch to the matchday pitch. Now, I think he's been caught a little bit in the transfer window, and the reason why, I think he had this game plan about he was going to play the midfield with 2 in front and 1 up top, and his wide areas would be his fullbacks. All of a sudden, because if you look at the players that he brought in, all of a sudden then he was grasping for a winger. He brought in Matondo out of nowhere. We all thought he was going to leave the building. He was talking about he needs a replacement for Ryan Kent. So I think he's been caught a little bit with his signings. I think he's overloaded in the one position for me.
But surely that falls on him.
100%.
That falls on the manager.
Listen, well, I've not said any different. I'm
saying he's been caught. What does that mean?
I think he's got to take the responsibility for that, Mark. I think he's got it wrong. Now, if you're talking about guys, we've been in the game, we've coached in it. It doesn't mean to say we're a lot better than anybody else, but you get a fair idea of it. Alex sitting at Ibrox as well, been in the management game. But you're talking about guys that just want to go along and see their team playing nice football and winning games or whatever, coming on this phone and they're identifying, saying, do you know what, we can't see what this Rangers manager's trying to do. We don't know what. You look at Celtic, for instance, it's quite easy to see the way that Brendan Rodgers is trying to tweak one or two things, whether you believe in them or not, you think they're right or wrong. Kyogo coming off, some of the link-up play today, McGregor, wide areas, and then another midfield player running. You don't see that with Rangers just now. And I keep going back to this. I hear day in, day out about how great a coach Michael Beale is. Well, I think the Rangers fans are wanting to see that transmitted over to the pitch.
Andy makes very lucid points. The most important of them being that he doesn't see these guys in the fullness of time being up to the job, whatever the job is. And Andy is the third caller in a row now to say it's time up. He won't get Graham Potter, I don't think, because I think Graham Potter would think he was a multi-millionaire by virtue of the fact that he got sacked by Chelsea. I don't think that he would be up for Scottish football.
Brendan Rodgers came to Scottish football here. Yeah, and Brendan Rodgers, I don't think he'll be short of a few bobs, especially when he's got the belts that he's got. And he's been the Liverpool manager. He's been down at Leicester in the English Premier League, Leicester. So he's come up to Scotland.
I don't want to spend too much time debating Michael Beale's successor while he's still here.
Exactly.
So maybe at some point in the near future. Andy, are there any of the new players that, I think everyone except Jack Butland looks good, you mentioned it. Is there anything at all? Is there anything in there that gives you a bit of optimism?
Just to be fair, a little bit of optimism in getting Graham Potter, and I'll go back to the point, was Hugh Keevins did say the day after Ange Postecoglou left there was no chance Brendan Rodgers would rejoin Celtic categorically.
He did.
I remember that too. So, a broken clock twice a day.
But I did tell you that Lee Johnson would get the bullet after the game.
You're going to live off one decision.
Anyway, Andy, what do you think? Any signs?
Gordon, yeah. Butland's superb. I think there's players there, but I don't think they necessarily work in what Beale's trying to do. I think Danilo looks like a good player. From what I've heard from people I know who know folks at the club, Danilo wasn't one of Beale's initial targets and wasn't in the plans and came up a little bit later in his thinking, and it seems like he's went for it anyway. And the best analogy I heard was, we've given Michael Beale a tenner to go to the shops and get bread and milk, and he's went and bought all the chocolate instead and not came back with the essentials. He's loaded up on strikers and not looked at the other parts of the team, particularly an ageing defence that need replaced.
Listen, I'm up for any creative analogy. Alex, Ray, any time a manager is questioned, it always comes down to, are the players good and he's not getting the best out of them, or are the players not that good and therefore is he the man that signed them? Those are the kind of, if you can boil it all down, that's usually the most important discussions to have, is it not?
Yeah, I think one of the key things for me is you get judged by who you bring in the door. And listen, one of the things, I think it was that Dazzler was saying that Matondo was actually brought in, but I think he was prior to Michael Beale getting here. I think that was last summer he came in. So, but in general, the actual personnel haven't hit the ground running, Gordon. Now, people are talking about the style there. I think Andy's an interesting one, because the style that they try and play is the one that they played under Steven Gerrard, which is a 4-3-3. So they're clearly missing Borna Barisic on that left hand side, because you will get a guy there today in Sterling who kept checking back on his right foot because he can't search the outside. Then you look at the top end. Now, Rabbi Matondo's actually, I think he was probably on the way out the door, Gordon, and then he managed to showcase a couple of performances and people thought, we would need to get him, and then there was a clamour for width. But the width tended to come from your fullbacks, and then they used to try and play like Kent coming in the park, and the same on the other side. So for me, it's about the personnel playing within that system, and Rabbi Matondo gives you the width, but I don't quite see that that's the way that they want to play going forward. because it's usually with the inverted front three, and then you have your wingers or the guys going out the outside. And I just don't think they have the personnel currently at their disposal to actually get some sort of rhythm going forward with there. But it doesn't take away from the individual performances that are actually nowhere near the level, because the fact that we're actually talking about Jack Butland, with a couple of callers and myself, Dazzler's mentioned that Jack Butland's the only guy. Now that says a thing in itself. John Souttar as well over the last couple of weeks has also made mistakes. If you think about the PSV, you look at Connor Goldson, you look at Tavernier today making individual mistakes which weren't punished. So it just generates an anxiety when you're trying to chase down a team that are already in the lead. And I didn't think they asked enough questions throughout. Now it'll be really interesting to see what Mike Beale says about all this, because ultimately, as I said at the top of it all, the players are letting him down, but the buck always stops with the manager.
Yeah, and I mean, Andy, is that where the worry comes? Because you've said, none of the new signings apart from Jack Butland are really filling you with optimism. Even if it was about, at this stage, finding the best of a bad bunch, it feels like Michael Beale can't do that yet. We mentioned, so Matondo will look sharp, so he gets a start, but then it doesn't work for him, so he comes off. And Kamar Roof was excellent against Ross County, so he starts, but then he comes off today and it didn't really work. And Lammers will come on and not take his chance, and Sima has that great goal against PSV. But are any of the attacking options doing enough to take their chance, Andy, when it comes around?
No, I think I was talking to the guys next to me today, and I thought Dessers looks like the type of player in a few months we might turn round and go, he was just unfit at the time. I know he had an ankle injury he was nursing and had a bit of a lack of pre-season, but he looks like he's running through mud and treacle, and he's always just a half yard away from the ball. I know he was unlucky, 2 lovely passes again that could have been assists today. I've heard the second one that got chopped off potentially was the Celtic boy making the foul on Dessers, and he went down, but I've not seen it back, so I don't know. But again, it's all a sputs and maybes, and it's now week after week after week of that was unlucky. If that had just gone in, but come Christmas and come next May, that turns into 18 points behind Celtic, and we're unlucky. We've lost out on another league title. We lose out in a cup semi-final, no doubt, down the line to an Aberdeen or a Hibs or someone. And it's another season where we're trying to rebuild. We've spent a load of money. Where are the players there to be sold on? Because again, you've got an ageing Barisic, who I know Alex Ray was saying he was checking back. Dion Sterling was checking back a lot. Barisic lives in checking back. It's all he does is turn round and pass it back. Other than the odd time he gets up the park and whips a ball in. But today, whip a ball into who? All the headers were tame. So for me, the defence is the issue, I think, for a lot of things right now. The coaching, yes. Barisic needs to go, contract up at the end of the season. I think we need to be looking at moving Goldson on, thank you, but he's clearly lost a half yard of pace. And Tavernier, for me, I'm begging a Saudi Pro League team to come in with a couple of £1 million and take Tavernier off our hands, because thank you, but he's ultimately going to leave us with 1 league title, 1 Scottish Cup, 8 years or 9 years of service in a Europa League final. Thank you, but we need to move on from that.
Well, it must be bad if the new signings are getting it, all the old players are getting it, the manager's getting it. Andy, do yourself a favour, pull over at the service station, get a wee coffee, calm down, and we'll speak to you during the week.
Cheers, Gordon.
Good man. That was Andy, somewhere between Ibrox and Newcastle. We spoke to him for quite a while. He might be at, I don't know, the services by now.
I've got to say, Andy did very well there, because if I was
makes a lot of clear points.
If I was driving back from Newcastle and I'd just witnessed that and that was my team, I think I'd have went a bit further.
Well, he wasn't hysterical in any way, but he has condemned Rangers defence there. Tavernier, Goldson, Barisic, who wasn't even playing today. But the problem that Michael Beale has, the window has closed. You are left with what you have.
I'm not naive to think that, sometimes it is easy to hear the loud, extreme views on Michael Beale in this instance, or whatever else after the game. I get that. Is that, Craig and Moodiesburn, is that the stage it's at? Or do all Rangers fans feel this way about Michael Beale at the moment? Is that the impression you're getting?
It is. Good afternoon, guys. I actually seen the producer there. I gave my season ticket away on the seat sub. Rangers do, because after Wednesday I feared the worst. For me, it was reminiscent of that game when Lennon was the manager. If you remember, and Gerrard, we lost 2-0 at home, and everybody was turning up saying, "Oh, it's Neil Lennon, we'll run over them easily," because I think we ended the previous season with a win over them. So it's a very bizarre feeling to me today. And as I say, after Wednesday, I was just completely scunnered. But it was one of the points that I think it was Alex Ray made earlier, saying that about Cantwell and Raskins. For me, this happened a lot when Gerrard was here, and supposedly, Beale was a tactician guy. A player comes in and they hit the ground running. For example, Joe Aribo, and then after a few games, it's coached out of them. Todd Cantwell today was playing it right back at one point, covering a 31-year-old James Tavernier, trying to do what he was doing well 3 years ago, bombarding down the way. By the way, I thought Tavernier was, one of his worst games for me against Celtic. I thought he just... I don't know if it was after Wednesday or what it was, but he's constantly just looked shot, and every time he had a misplaced pass, the fans were on his back, and you could see it was getting to him. But for me, I think Michael Beale is very... he talks a very, very good game. He's not a manager. And to answer your question, I think the fans actually turned on him today when he took Roof. Why he took Roof off, I've absolutely no idea. And if you heard the fans' reaction to that, and then he was straight up the tunnel at the end of the game, and you could quite clearly hear what was being shouted at him on the telly. And I'm sure you don't need a lip reader to see what the fans were shouting at the players who are going round at the end of the game. So for me, when that happens, it's only a matter of time. He's not going to get sacked during the international break or anything ridiculous, and I think he might potentially, if he gets to the final League Cup, he might see Christmas. But for me, just a point on this new team nonsense, and for me it is nonsense, because there was only Sterling wouldn't have played if Barisic was fit. There was only Dessers that started from the summer signings outfield. Butland, I was asked the producer, for me, Jack Butland's the only one that's impressed me so far. And you could see him at the end of the game. He must be thinking, he said, what have I walked into here? We're 1-0 down in the 93rd minute injury time, and Goldson and Suter are passing the ball about at the back, and he's screaming at them, get it forward. And I just do not see what the formation is. Beale started this 4-2-2-2 formation in pre-season, which was boring. He then tried that in the Champions League qualifiers, and it's a new team gelling, this, that and the other. Why he's playing Todd Cantwell so deep, I've got absolutely no idea. But he's now switched to this 4-3-3. And at the end, it was like dead man walking stuff. He was just throwing everybody onto the pitch at the end to try and get a goal. But it's just the same thing: get the ball wide and cross into the box.
Yeah, Craig, you make a lot of good points, and I'm conscious of the fact we're close to the break, so I'll get Alex's reply. Let's pick one of those issues, Alex. Let's go Todd Cantwell, because he's much talked about. Rangers fans had such high hopes for him this season. Is he underperforming himself, or is Michael Beale not getting the best out of him?
For me, I think he's underperforming, Gordon. I don't think he's hitting the levels. Going back to Craig's point, where if you're playing in a midfield three and the ball finds its way, whether it's Raskin or whether it's Cantwell, you then have to be the guy that engages and tries to help out your fullback, because the Kmart Roof is not going to be the guy that tracks back, and on the other side Rabbi Matondo tries to get back, but ultimately they leave it to the outside midfielder or the both fullbacks to deal with, and that's the reason why Cantwell is finding himself there. Now, that's okay out of possession, but there was times where, and I take Craig's point on board, where he's the one that's then jumping to become almost like the right back. And I was with Andrew Maclean here at the game, and I'm thinking to myself, why is he so deep? I couldn't believe it. Now, I'm under no illusions that Michael Beale's not telling him to be the right-sided centre back, effectively the outside one of that three there, because you want him middle to front where he can do the damage, and he's better, better to go and capitalise and go and hurt the opposition going, because that far 80 yards for goals is not going to impact that. So for me, I think that's a player that makes that decision to then drop down to that particular part of the field.
We'll agree to disagree on it. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Alex. For now, we will stop for breath and get back in touch with you just after these.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboards Open Line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Duncan are here. Alex Ray still at Ibrox. We won't keep him too much longer, but hopefully we'll hear from the managers very soon indeed. John is a Rangers fan. John, there's a lot been said about managers and styles of play and recruitment and all that. We've not really spoke about some of the big talking points. What did you make of the goal Rangers got disallowed in the first half?
I think this, for me as a Rangers fan, I normally always put my hands up. When there's something wrong, I'll admit it. Don Robertson today, it's one of the most blatant, obvious signs of one-manship I've ever seen in Scottish football. How can I put my leg in front of you, get the ball in possession, then you kick me in the leg, and it's the foul for you? It makes no sense in any rule I've ever read for refereeing. It makes no sense. Maeda elbowed Cantwell in the face, and it's a foul for them again. It's so blatantly obvious. I'm now contemplating that we need to go down the Greek route and bring in foreign referees to referee these matches.
I think disappointment is getting the better of John. You know, he's incorrect in his reading of the situation regarding Lagerbielka. It was a foul.
Would you concede that falls into the at least debatable category though? Because I'm not sure we're going to get anywhere on this elbow by Dyson Maeda. But it feels like there's at least a debate to be had on the goal.
You know, to have a debate, you need to have people who say it was originally a foul by the Rangers player, and that's my contention. It was a foul in the first place by the Rangers player. I think when we go on about Don Robertson, it's the last resort of a disappointed man. John is obviously very disappointed that Rangers lost, but Rangers didn't lose because of Don Robertson, the referee. They lost because of nothing other than their own incompetence.
It was certainly a big moment, Mark. How would you? I mean, John's so clear that it should have stood, and I'm sure some people will be equally clear the other way. Is there any middle ground? I don't know. How do you feel?
Look, I think it was a foul. When I analyse that, when Dessers comes along and sniffs that he can get a touch of the ball, I think if Dessers' foot is closer to the ball or almost on the ball and Lagerbielka kicks him, then Dessers is probably nearer to being in control of the ball. But I think his foot's too far away. So when
Lagerbielka's at like the start of his backswing, to use the golfing analogy,
and he's coming down, and Dessers is still a bit away. If Dessers is just about to nick that and Lagerbielka kicks him, then I think Dessers plays on and it should be a goal. But I think Don Robertson got that right. I've got to say, didn't see it in real time. Took a replay for us to see it here as well.
Can I just point out the obvious though, John? See, if Don Robertson was so desperate to cheat your team, would he not just have ruled the goal out straight away?
Well, for me, that's what the PR referee is there for. I'll put my hand up. Maybe it was a wee bit 50-50. But for me, in reading, Danilo's put the pressure on him to try and make him make a mistake. He's managed to get his leg and his body in front of him before he kicks the ball. He then lifts his leg back and kicks him in the back of the leg, and it's a foul for Celtic.
I respect everyone's right to look at incidents and analyse them, but John, you did come on and be pretty strong about Don Robertson, so I'll ask it again. If Don Robertson was so desperate to do Rangers out of it, why would he not just give a free kick there and then? He's had to hold up his own hands. You might not agree, but he has to go over to a monitor in front of everyone and admit that he got it wrong. That doesn't sound like someone who is desperate to rule a goal out for Rangers. He could have just gave the free kick straight away.
But my opinion's my opinion. You won't be able to change.
No, but I'm not asking you to change your opinion on the incident, John. I'm asking you to admit that to make it all about some sort of deliberate act by Don Robertson doesn't stand up to any scrutiny whatsoever.
Okay. Maybe I'm a wee bit in a heat in the moment. That for me, that's not a foul.
That is fair. That I can live with you.
Well, okay, but I can't believe that John, out of this wreckage of a day, that's all he can do. Blame the referee. He's exonerating a Rangers team who were hopeless.
Yeah, look, and Gordon, to be fair, lots of Rangers fans have. But we've nearly done this for an hour, and everyone has criticised Rangers. It was a big moment in the game. I don't think it's not wrong to talk about it. It's a big moment in the game.
Yeah, and you quite rightly say, Gordon, everybody will have their opinion on it. In real time, I think, like the rest of the guys, I'm thinking great play with Dessers. He's went over, as Alex uses the phrase, picked his pocket, right? Great play, cut back, Roof puts it in. Terrific start for Rangers, places is bouncing inside Ibrox. But when he gets called over the, with the VR over the TV screens, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times, only in my opinion, and everybody's different, I thought he called it correctly.
And very quickly, just so we're not ignoring any of John's points, did Dyson Maida elbow Todd Cantwell in the face?
Not at all.
No recollection of that happening.
Let's go to Pittodrie quickly, because we've got a huge game there between Aberdeen and Hibs. We'll get some team news from Dave Galloway.
Yeah, thanks Gordon. Plenty incentive here for these teams, smarting from Euro defeats and keen to bounce back straight away. And both Aberdeen and Hibs without a Premiership win so far this season. The Dons did play some very good football versus Hacken on Thursday night, but were let down at key moments in attack and defence. The managerless Highbees, they're surely very low on confidence after 3 league defeats and that 8-0 aggregate pummelling by Aston Villa. Aberdeen make a couple of changes. In come Connor Barron and Angus MacDonald. Out drop Shayden Morris and Leighton Clarkson, so they will line up Keller Roos in goals, a back 3 of Angus MacDonald, Slobodan Rubizic and Richard Jensen. Midfield Nicky Devlin, Connor Barron, Graham Shinney and James McGarry, with Jamie McGrath playing off the front 2 of Bojan Majowski and Duke. The subs for the Dons: Doohan, McKenzie, Clarkson, Gay, Hayes, Sockler, Morris, Polvara and Duncan. 3 changes for Hibs: Will Fish, Dylan Venti and Martin Boyle. In for Rocky Bashiri, Jordan Ubita and Christian Doyd. So it's David Marshall in goals. Across the back, Lewis Miller, Will Fish, Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson. Midfield 3, Josh Campbell, Jimmy Jago and Joe Newell, with Dylan Venti up top, supported on either side by Martin Boyle and Ellie Ewan. The subs: Boric, Lefondre, Doidge, Harbottle, Del Ferrier, Bushiri, Molotnikov, McAllister and Megwa. Match officials: David Monroe is your referee, and it's Stephen Kirkland on VAR duties.
Life after Lee Johnson, and up against the Aberdeen side, who could be doing with a win themselves here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Aberdeen will get the win. I think they've got too much for Hibs. Whoever gets the job vacated by Lee Johnson will have a substantial rebuild on his hands. That there are players there not up to the job, and a lot of people will come in the January window.
Alex Ray, I was going to hang on to you till we heard from Michael Beale, but he's taking his sweet time. Both of them are. We will hear them soon, but I think we'll let you go before they lock the gates at Ibrox. Your final sort of thoughts on the game now the dust is settled?
Yeah, I think it's all about, what Michael Beale comes out with afterwards, Gordon. There was such kind of furore afterwards about the performance. I think there's a real kind of split in the Rangers camp now, whether Michael Beale's a man to go forward or not, and ultimately he's going to have 2 weeks to reflect on that, as is his players. I think the one thing for me quickly, Gordon, is that going forward over the next couple of weeks, there has to be a marked improvement in their consistency throughout, and they have to go on a run now, because that's 4 points behind already after 4 games, and it can't afford to be any longer.
Well, Alex Ray, thanks for joining us. A pleasure. It was Alex at Ibrox alongside Andrew Maclean, who's down getting the thoughts of Michael Beale and Brendan Rodgers. I'm absolutely certain you'll want to hear what they've got to say. We're here for another hour, so not only are you going to hear from them, we're going to hear from you as well. What did you make of it? Pick up that phone and let us know, please.
It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line: 0141 951 1025.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Duncan are here as we calmly and rationally discuss the big talking points from the game at Ibrox. The good news for you is you'll hear a tiny bit less of us, because we're going to hear from Michael Beale and Brendan Rodgers very soon, and the more calls we can get in here in this section the better. We've also got 2 big games kicking off at 3 o'clock: Aberdeen Hibs and Hearts Motherwell. Gordon Duncan.
Yeah, massive. 2 very exciting games. Motherwell going through to Tynecastle against a poor Hearts team at this moment in time. Motherwell fancy that. Aberdeen, after the disappointment of Thursday night, can they bounce back against a team with no manager, and obviously come in for a bit of a hefty aggregate result against Aston Villa? So two games that I fancy Motherwell and Aberdeen this afternoon.
The thing is, Hugh, everyone's over all this talk about the game at Ibrox. If Motherwell win by 4, it'll be them that's top of the league.
Well, there you are. And I was going to say,
tongue in cheek,
out of Hearts' last 14 league games, they've won 3. out of 14, and they are in a poor way, and they were done in Europe during the week and done over quite heavily. Motherwell do have a chance at Tynecastle, because at the Frankie McAvoy, Stephen Naismith managerial duo, whoever's in charge today, at the moment it's not working.
Okay, 01419511025 is the number that James in Drumchapel has dialed. How are you feeling, James?
I am angry, I'm raging, and I've just heard Michael Beale, and my God, man, he's disappointed at not getting at least a draw at home against Celtic. I'm sorry, guys, the party's over. That man's got to go, and I will not be setting foot back in Ibrox again until he's doing that, because that the day, Ruth, who was our best chance of a goal today, and I think the whole stadium kind of told him that as well when he started to get taken off. I just don't see anything in what Michael Beale's bringing to the party for me, because he seems to have overloaded in the middle of the park. We have got no width, so when our full-backs now look up, we have got nobody. Now I sit in the Broomland rear, and the amount of times that Tavernier and Sterling go to the ball and there's nobody for a full-back to hit is a disgrace for me. How this guy can turn around and say, I need to go and get a Ryan Kent replacement, and then doesn't replace him. Now, for me, we've been crying out for a ball-winning centre-half for years, not just since Beale came in. He still thinks that Connor Golson's good enough to fill that gap. Connor Golson's had one good season with Rangers, one. And I'm now sick of this, guys. We have got a team that is full of serial losers. That's it. And I'm sick of it now. I am absolutely sick of it. It's not these players that need to go into work in the morning and face Celtic supporters and get yet another ribbon. No, they can go away up the road tonight. They get into their work in the morning. They'll probably not even be in tomorrow. They'll have a nice wee cushy day off, and I'll be back to work, and they can all have a wee laugh and a joke. Well, the real Rangers fans who are shelling out hard-earned money to go and watch that today are the ones that are let myself sit raging about it. I'm done now with Michael Beale. He can pack his bags and he can leave now. If he needs trapped after the airport, I'm your man. I'll do it for nothing.
Well, there you are.
It's a sensational call. You have to hand it to James.
If you spend hundreds of pounds, as James has done, on a season ticket, and you are declaring on radio today that you will not be back inside the ground until Michael Beale is no longer Rangers manager, then how much more of this can the Rangers fans take? And the reaction, I assume James is one of them, when the players went round the park, open hostility. He painted himself into a corner, Michael Beale.
James, you're not the guy in the orange Rangers top who was saying you and then pointing where the players should go, are you?
No, unfortunately, I sit in the Broomland rear. I think if I'd got to them, I'd have probably ended up spending the night in the cells tonight, guys, if I'd got my odds on any of them.
Steady. Right, don't say it. Don't say anything you'll regret on live radio, James. We need to track that guy down. He's gone viral, and you knew he would. Because listen, you can laugh. Every football fan's done that. You get to. That was the.
But he kept going with the you. I was a bit concerned, but you can hear the anger and the frustration that James has shown tonight. Look, I've heard this now for the last two managers with Rangers. Everybody loved Van Bronckhorst, wanted him in. All of a sudden became the, get him out campaign. Michael Beale, everybody, he'll turn this team into a very attacking team. He's a brilliant coach, and he's this and he's that. For me, I thought he was going to reinvent the wheel. I agree with the Rangers fans. I think the Rangers fans are looking and thinking, we don't see an improvement. I don't see an improvement in the Rangers side. And if you're bringing in players, and the caller said before, well, he doesn't buy into this new team because only, 3, I think, started today. But there was another 3 or 4 made an impact for the bench. Got to ask the question, why then the bench? Danielo's been brought in for big money, can hardly get seen. Dessers looks like he's 50% fit to me. Seema's in and out. Matondo gets a good game against Morton, all of a sudden plays in the 2 biggest games of Rangers season so far.
Can we assume though that Dessers is now fit and that's just how he moves?
Well, if he does, Rangers are in trouble with their signing, let me tell you.
What's he up to now though, in terms of what will that be, including qualifiers and so on? He's played 9 games.
How many times has he been subbed?
No, I
nearly
don't
every
deny
game
that,
probably. right? And I know the modern, you can go the argument, well, Kyogo scored today and he was subbed, right? But they're offering nothing, you know. And I totally understand the frustration of Rangers supporters. They were promised this fantastic coach who took all the credit for what Steven Gerrard did, come up and sat there. Van Bronckhorst left, he come into the hot seat. Rangers, I think fans were looking for something really, really different. It's went back the way for me.
Michael Beale's problem is that football managers do not remain in office in defiance of the supporters' wishes. And, you know, if things get worse, then the board will have to react, because the supporters, I mean, if you get fans saying, I won't come back, then Michael Beale has to have a very dramatic transformation, and quickly, otherwise he will be off.
At what point or how much personal blame the players take in this, James?
They've got to hold their hands up as well, because for me, I watched the Kilmarnock Celtic game, and what Kilmarnock did was, who's Celtic's kind of player that makes them tick? Callum McGregor. So what did they do? They stuck somebody on him and says, don't come after him. Make sure every time he gets the ball, you're right on him. What did we do today? Our so-called hard man, Ryan Jack, was about 4 postcodes away from him. And I'm sitting looking at the game, and I'm sitting thinking, go and just put somebody on him. Go and make a tackle at least. At least show to the fans that you actually care what's going on in that part. But not one of them today, guys. I would do. Bob Butland was the only one I would probably give pass marks to, and that is a really bad day when you're pass mark man in a team as your goalkeeper. You're looking for somebody like your Todd Cantwell. Now, for me, I don't think Cantwell's getting played in the right position. For me, you let Cantwell go and do a roaming job. Now, Cantwell at times was going and pressing the ball, but he can't do it himself. He was gone, and as soon as he pressed, it opened up a space, and Celtic just passed through us. It was like a training game today for Celtic.
Well, I think on Cantwell, I think even when he was in possession today, he was so poor. And Cantwell's the one that's made Rangers tick when they have underperformed in weeks gone by and dug them out a hole sometimes. And that can happen. Players like Cantwell will have an off day, but it's up to the others to step up to the mark. So, yeah, the players do have to take a portion of the blame. But the problem that Beale's got, again, it comes down to style. Fans want to see an identity and want to see a style run through your team, no matter the personnel. And I think indecision has killed him. In pre-season, I think the earlier guys that called up, he had an idea and he didn't like the idea, and he's tried to then bring Matondo from cold storage into the team and start playing with width, and before you know it, I think that brings indecision to the actual team, to the players on the pitch. Are we going to stick with this formation? Is he going to change it? Then when substitutes come on, Matondo comes off and you put Daniel on, there is no cohesion behind it, and that's the problem that Michael Beale finds himself in. You can point the finger at the players, but ultimately it's the manager and what he's bringing to the party that's going to be judged, and it's not been good enough for 10 months. Remember, not three months since the transfer window. He got his players in. From the moment he walked in, there's been very few performances that Rangers fans have called this show and went, wow, we were amazing today. Michael Beale must have been working on that in the training pitch, because I could see in practice on the pitch, it's just not been there over a long period. So that's why he finds himself in trouble. And Hugh's right, when you get fans calling up and saying that they won't be back as long as the manager's there, that's when you get a problem.
Right, thank you, James. Passionate stuff from James in Drumchapel. What about the Celtic side of things? It's always the losing team gets the anger out, and you hear it the loudest. But Mark in Carmel, you must be delighted.
Oh, gentlemen, how you doing, the Gordons, Mark and Shug?
Good, thank you. Good. Probably not as good as you. Well, your namesake will be loving life as well. The rest of us are just enjoying the show.
Yeah, I'm just lapping up the Rangers comments there, just for the fans there. Brendan, like a wee bit of kind of shout out should be to Brendan Rodgers today, because he absolutely schooled Michael Beale today. His tactics, the football that was getting played. Celtic played some great football today. I think you'd admit that, gentlemen.
Today is a massive day for Brendan Rodgers on a personal level. We had a caller yesterday who referred to Brendan as arrogant and said that he was here for himself and not for the good of the club. I would love to hear from that gentleman today and what he thinks about Brendan Rodgers now. Brendan came in with all of the nonsense about people demanding a public apology because he left mid-season, although Celtic went on to win the league that season. And then he had to put up with all the criticism that followed the cup defeat at Kilmarnock, the goalless draw with St Johnstone. Today he went to Ibrox with a makeshift side. He overcame the fact that several key players were denied him by injury, and he has Kyogo to thank for a quite remarkable 3 points for Celtic. So today, on a personal level, is a huge one for Brendan Rodgers. It helps address the Ange Ball question, the post-Postecoglou panic that set in among the Celtic supporters. He has shown that he can construct a team, and he has a style of football on his mind, that he can use productively.
Yeah, Mark, we said the build-up to this game was really about the losing manager was going to get dog's abuse. So it's only fair then, as Mark says, to credit the winning one.
Of course, because he got things spot on today. Went for the tried and trusted in terms of who was playing in the front line. You asked my team yesterday and I had some of the new signings in there. We've got to say the big talking point was the back line, and particular Scales. We're all saying about Phillips and is he ready? Well, Brendan Rodgers must have looked at that and thought, no, he's not ready, and I trust Scales. But just the style, stuck to his style, stuck to the Kyogo coming deeper at times and bouncing off him. And he has to take huge credit because it would have worked the other way had he lost. So Brendan Rodgers is a top manager and things will click together. One thing you see with Brendan Rodgers is his style, his identity on a team, unlike Michael Beale for the last 10 months. You see it pretty quickly. And he's got a winning mentality, and he wasn't arrogant when he says it. He knows how to win. He knows how to go to Ibrox and win. That's key in those fixtures, so he takes huge credit.
Were you one of those Celtic fans that was fearing the worst before today, Mark? Because there's no point in pretending that everyone knew this would happen. How did you feel about it all?
I think there was always a kind of, a kind of slight worry, but I think after watching Rangers' recent performances and the way they played against PSV, Celtic are coached by a top manager, and they're coached by Brendan Rodgers, who done not too shabby in the English Premiership, and his previous record at Celtic was flawless. So, was I worried? Yeah, I was worried because we had a makeshift team, but I'm not worried about the coach, and that's what most Rangers fans are worried about, their coach. And I think we've got a great coach, and once we get our team back, I don't think anybody's going to. I think, dare I say it, there could be another great season for Celtic.
It is going to be a long season, right? We don't know for sure, but if this is Celtic underperforming and misfiring, and yes, they're out of cup, 4 points ahead, the Rangers going into the first international break.
Yeah, Brendan lost his first cup tie with Celtic, his first in 25. One defeat in 25 cup ties. So the fans wanted the treble as a minimum requirement, so they won't get a treble. But I think today he is entitled. Those who were clamouring for an apology from Brendan Rodgers is entitled to say to them, for all the names that I have been called, fraud, Judas, etc., Brendan Rodgers is entitled to say, I think you owe me one today.
You know what, in the fixtures, when the fixtures rolled out and he looked at them and seen Aberdeen away and Rangers away in the first 4 games, there's no sterner test than that to get through. Now, to score 3 at Pittodrie and then keep a clean sheet at Ibrox with that deserves huge credit.
I mean, it does make the home draw against St Johnstone a bit more frustrating.
Of course, yeah. Look, there's no getting away from that and how poor that performance was. But we always chat about how you bounce back from a disappointing result. The talk was how Rangers would bounce back from midweek today from a disappointing result. I made the point yesterday, it's incredibly difficult sometimes psychologically to bounce back. Those Celtic players that took to the field today have been there over the course and distance and done it before, mentally strong, and they showed that today. Now Scales and Lagerbielke are new to the fold, but I think with the help of their teammates they got through, and Scales rightly, in my opinion, awarded man of the match, so well done to him.
What did you make of them, Mark? Because so much was said and people were desperate to see a Nat Phillips, who hadn't kicked a ball in 9 months, play at the expense of Liam Scales, but he did well, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think before the match, when you were kind of assessing the teams and you were looking at it, so there was a wee bit of kind of trepidation, kind of worry. But I thought Liam Scales was unbelievable today, to be honest. Like, I thought the other boy, the Swedish boy, kind of struggled a wee bit, but he kind of managed to get his composure back sometimes. But I thought Scales was phenomenal, to be honest. Like, what a debut at Ibrox.
Hugh, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Narrative this week has all been about Celtic's defence. And again, we shouldn't rewrite history. Lager Bielka had shaky moments for sure, but when all said and done, did you expect that pair firstly to play, then get a clean sheet, and within it, particularly Liam Scales, a good performance?
Not at all. Mark said he had concerns. I think Celtic supporters would have been fearful of what might have happened, but all credit to Scales, who stood his ground, who vindicated Brendan Rodgers' decision not to let him go back to Aberdeen on a permanent basis this time. So he can feel very pleased with himself. Lager Bielka has survived a baptism of fire in the Old Firm context, because to go there with a side as weak as Celtic were forced to go there with, he had his bad moments. Undoubtedly he had bad moments, but he'll be all the better for the experience. Brendan Rodgers won't be able to put any more pace into him because he clearly doesn't have much, but this will be a big day for him on a professional level.
And we need to acknowledge it. The elephant in the room. How could I forget? Stu Ram has tweeted, "How are you not pulling Hugh up for his undoubtedly Celtic will lose at Ibrox statement?"
I didn't say that.
Last week you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I? Anyway, I stand here and I offer an opinion now, and when it's
say that.
When it's the wrong opinion, I said that and I was wrong.
There you are, Stu. He's sorry. I think we can all move on, be pals. Right, still goalless between Hearts and Motherwell. A decent enough opening at Tynecastle. Still goalless between Hibs and Aberdeen as well. Fish has headed over from a Newell cross. Good play from Martin Boyle there as well, forcing a save. So chances at both ends, because Devlin had a header over early on for Aberdeen. But if you want to hear from Michael Beale and you want to hear from Brendan Rodgers, you might as well stay right there, and we'll do it next.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Open Line.
It's that time after a big game where we hear from the managers, and you lot either hang on every word because you love what your manager's done, or you're shouting at your radio because you can't believe what your manager's coming away with. Let's start with the home boss, Michael Beale. Of course, he spoke about the VAR decision which cost Rangers an opener, and the chances and the performance and the result.
We started the game quite well. Obviously the first goal was clearly offside. The VAR decision I'm not sure about, because I think that Cyril puts his foot down and the boy actually kicks him. I think he's a lucky boy, so I'm disappointed that goes against us. Having said that, there's a lot of football to be played afterwards. It's a really poor goal, a goal that you cannot concede because it's an isolated moment. We almost concede the goal ourselves. It's a good finish from the lad, but we shouldn't concede a goal like that. In the second half, I thought we pushed, we chased the game, and we had big moments to score. We could create more, but we certainly had big moments to score, and we didn't. So it's a bitterly disappointing day. It's not the result anybody wanted, and obviously at this stage of the season it's not where we want to be in terms of points difference either. In the second half we had opportunities. Sam had a big one. We had a big one with Danilo as well. We have the chance in the first half, it goes across and Cyril can't get there, and I think obviously we scored in the moment that the decision goes against us. So it's fine margins, but it's hugely disappointing. I felt today the team pushed. I thought at times we could do better with the ball. Our use of the ball could be better, certainly in the second half, but we still created enough opportunities to score goals today, more than Celtic.
I'm not too sure about that. I mean, Celtic had pretty clear-cut chances. When you think of Kyogo in the first half, you think of the one in the second half that Butland saves and Maeda just misses it back post, and another time Kyogo's through, and the goal. Brendan Rodgers could feel hard done by that Celtic didn't take more of them. In terms of the chances, yes, look, Rangers did create some chances. Lammers was a huge chance. Danilo, I thought Hart was on to him right away, but it was all kind of isolated moments. There was no real build-up play to create those sorts of chances time and time again against a Celtic backline that were retreating closer to Joe Hart as every minute ticked by. So I think that's where the Rangers fans were disgruntled, that they just didn't build on any
Lammers was your big one, Mark. I think I know it's a tight angle, but he goes round Joe Hart, he's got to score. For me, he's got to score. Danilo, I think, does brilliant, but I think you're right. I think it's good goalkeeping. I'd expect Butland to be the same up the other end. I think that the goalkeeper's a bit experienced. They can read the situation, make it difficult for a striker. Of course, he's got to be disappointed. He's just lost a game that I think. Well, I know every Rangers fan and a lot of Celtic fans were thinking that Rangers may win this afternoon because of the situation. They've not even scored a goal at Ibrox. And you look at where Celtic finished the game with their back four. So I think that he is disappointed. I think he's disappointed with a lot of it. I think he's got to come out and defend his players. That's what you do as a manager, but it's not good enough. He's not kidding MD on just now. He can talk it up about the VR decision. Yes, he's got his opinion, that like we all have. But the majority of the Rangers fans know right now this is not good enough. There's no point sugarcoating it.
Michael Beale has to be careful what he says now, because the fans can see with their own eyes. We've already had a caller today saying he won't go back to Ibrox until Michael Beale is no longer there. So he has to be careful what he says and not to alienate the Rangers fans further. And he went for the old managerial favourite, fine margins. What fine margins? They had a makeshift Celtic team, numerous chances, and didn't take any of them. No fine margins.
Well, this might be juicier on that sort of front then, because that first clip, it was good, but I think that was more like him summing up just the game and the way he felt it went throughout. But he was asked about kind of feeling the pressure and can he win the fans back.
Well, listen, I understand it when the results have been the last two. I understand the frustration from the fans. It's with the shirt. It's not just here at Rangers, it's anywhere. It's a derby. It's a game where there's a lot of emotion involved in it, and the fans expect their team to get a result, and we didn't. So that's par for the course. In terms of pressure, you're always under pressure in this job. You're only ever a couple of results not going your way to feel that, but the most pressures that we put on ourselves, and so we've fallen short of that today, because I expected and wanted us to get a result, and over the course of the 90 minutes I think the result's harsh on us, but in terms of these games they're only about the result. I think that the team can win the fans back by winning games of football, and that's what they have to do.
The game's not harsh on them. You know, they had plenty of chances. It's their own fault that they lost 1-0. And as I say, he has to be careful what he says now, because that's not how the fans read the game. That it was a harsh result. That's the booing that followed the Rangers players around the park tells you that the fans don't believe fine margins, and the fans don't believe that it was harsh. The booing was because Rangers were poor.
I think he was right there. You know, you have to gauge the level of frustration from the home support in the ground, and the pictures after that, I don't think align with Michael Beale that this was a game that Celtic nicked, and you know, they hit we hit the crossbar, hit the post, we were denied by Joe Hart in sparkling form. Wasn't it any of that at all? And the reaction of the Rangers fans told you that. So I don't think Michael Beale can kid anybody on that was the case. Celtic had chances. Celtic took one of those chances. Rangers had a couple and didn't, and were poor in the amount of possession that they had, and that's the truth about how that game panned out today.
We'll hear from Brendan Rodgers in a second, but what about Robert, who's a Rangers fan? There, Robert, are you buying your manager's explanation?
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm buying nothing after him. He's talking utter nonsense. After watching that today, Beale has to go. I mean, that was absolutely... Rangers never laid a glove in Celtic today. Not one glove on a makeshift defence. We were second best all round the pitch. We are clueless. We are rudderless. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we've not got any structure within the team. We don't know what system he plays. And we haven't got any leadership. Tavernier throws his arms about like a headless chicken. And Cantwell today, that must have been his poorest game in the Rangers shirt. He struts about that park as if he's a superstar. And a superstar is definitely not. Bill must go, and that's it. I'll not be back at Ibrox as well. I'm like the first caller. I'll never be set foot back in Ibrox. until Michael Beale goes.
Really though, I mean, really, right? Once the international break comes and Scotland qualify for the Euros, but that's neither here nor there. You know, and it rolls round again. You won't go back and get behind that team.
No chance. With Michael Beale, no chance. And people are saying he's a good coach. He could have coached an under-13 team. Looking at that today, that was atrocious, and that's been all season. Even against Morton, it's been all season. We played like this, but we've not got any identity, no structure, no leadership. We're Celtic. They've got a good team, good players, good structure, and a good recruitment team. You've got no one.
The level of passionate criticism aimed at Rangers is quite striking today, Hugh, because we know you've been on this show many times. You know, people are going to lash out after a game, but a lot of it is really well thought out and like I say, really passionate, strong disagreement of what they're seeing.
I was taken aback by the noise that followed the final whistle when the Rangers players went around the park.
Yeah, because I thought at first it was the ref going down the tunnel or something, but then you could tell it was more than that.
Yeah, and now all those images are on social media, and they signify the level of unrest. And Robert, the second caller today to say he won't go back to Ibrox. Now, Michael Beale, as I say, has to transform things overnight. The next time Rangers play St Johnstone, then they have to win, and win convincingly at Perth. Otherwise, Michael Beale might as well call up the removal firm and make arrangements, because the Rangers fans, on the evidence of today's programme, and that will be repeated, the Rangers fans are not having him.
Right, let's... sorry, I'm just checking. I thought Motherwell had gone a goal up, but I think it's been ruled out for offside, hasn't it?
Well, it has been, but I was wondering if it was offside. No, but I think the first ball up might have been, but I would have... a sensational goal we're hearing that could have been.
Yeah, well, my mates are texting me going, never offside in a million years.
Right, we'll keep... I mean, Robert is not happy at all, and I wonder if... in fact, that goal does stand for Motherwell.
My friends were right. Well done, lads.
Yeah, Callum Slattery.
Enjoy the game.
Callum Slattery with the goal for Motherwell to put them one up at Tynecastle. Robert, I'm so strong in his criticism there. I'll keep you on the line, Robert, and sorry to do this to you, but I'm going to play more from Michael Beale and then find out what you made of it. He was asked why more new signings didn't start, and I don't know if he liked the question so much.
I think, look, when you lose 6 players that play in the front positions, you have to sign some. They can't all play at the same time. That's fair. You know, the players can't all play if they play in the same position. That's obvious. And we had to sign these players. There's been a lot said about the fees. I'll tell you, you're miles out. And who cost what and who cost this. You're miles out. We had to replace the players that went out. They've all contributed so far. They could all show a little bit more. I don't think it's a slight on anybody that we picked Kamaru today, or the form that Rabbi Matondo's been in. And I don't think it'd be a slight on anyone if Tom Lawrence plays over a new signing. They're part of our squad. We invested probably about 13 million in 9 players. It's not like we spent millions on 1 or 2. We spent 13 million on 9 players. At times, the right balance has got to be sought out, and that's probably where the team needs to come together. But it's after a defeat, all those questions are going to come forward. Today's game was in our hands, and we let it slip through our own faults.
The gist of that, Robert, is don't worry, they didn't cost as much as people are saying.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it one bit. He's talking a lot of nonsense, and this gelling. What a load of nonsense. It's all summer to gel all these places and players into a system. We don't even, I mean, we're 4 games in, plus the pre-season, plus European time, and we still don't even know what system he's playing.
I'm obviously being a bit facetious, Hugh, but because he's not wrong to point it out. I get why he wants things to be accurate, but I don't think the Rangers fans are going to be feeling much better to hear that. Oh, don't worry, you know, they didn't cost as much as you're all saying.
He's also changed his tune. You know, he starts off by talking about fine margins, and then at the very end of that clip, he said that we lost it through our own fault. So, which one is it, Michael? And incidentally, the press conference doesn't sound so much a press conference as a grilling. So everything, his transfers, the amount of money that's been spent, everything is coming under severe scrutiny here. So it's been a rank bad day for Rangers in general terms, and a bad day for Michael Beale on a personal level.
I can't disagree with that, and you just hear the anger tonight. The Rangers supporters, Usually they come on, they have a dig at one or two of the players, maybe criticise the manager. We'll get supporters on saying they're not going back to Ibrox. I keep going back to this, you know, I've always believed that I've heard so much about Michael Beale as a coach, but every Rangers fan saying the exact same. No structure, don't know what we're doing, don't know what pattern we're playing to. There's been one signing for me, and it's a goalkeeper. I think it's been excellent. The rest of the signings, the 30 million, whatever he spent on them, I would like to see where the value for money is coming from, because none of them, and I mean none of them, have impressed me at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When Michael Beale's then stating figures about 9 players and was that 13 million, he says here, well, still a lot of money relative terms, and Daz is right. You need to see a return for that. Let's not take today's game in isolation, because the caller before, Robert, said same against Morton, really struggled across the line there. Kilmarnock brought in, was that 9 players? They cost 13 million, gelled pretty well against Rangers and Celtic. So, you know, a lot of it's kind of try to redirect and say, don't worry, everything will be fine. But Rangers fans are looking for things to be much better now. And even if you do lose today's game, which can happen, the performance and the style, the identity has to be there that gives them some optimism.
Do you know what makes it worse?
Ahead.
Do you know what makes it worse, Mark? I think if you're a Rangers fan, there's no way that Celtic are a finished article just now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You looked at Celtic today, they went there, what they finished with, and everybody highlights, and brilliant, they got a clean sheet. To go to Ibrox, a place that you've won 2 in the last 9, you're probably underdogs, because I think a lot of people fancied Rangers at home, and to come out with 3 points and a clean sheet. Celtic aren't firing in all, you know, cylinder. They're not the explosive side that we've seen before, and yet Rangers still struggle against them.
Right, we'll leave Robert to go. He was very passionate in his criticism of his team, which is absolutely understandable on a day like that. Thank you very much, Robert. It was nice to hear from you. What else is out there on the phones? Let us know. You can tweet us as well, of course, at Clyde SSB. Craig Graham says, I think I was at a different game. Very frustrating to lose. I thought Rangers were okay, a little sloppy and slow, but fine margins away from being 2-0 up. I can see why Beale brought those players in. I think we need to settle on a formation that's better suited to the players, but it's an overreaction from me. Anger against expectations rather than reality.
Well, the man's entitled to his opinion, but I do think that we've heard all manner of criticism of the team today. Criticism of an ageing back four, as one caller put it. Criticism of Cantwell and Raskin not rising to the occasion. A succession of strikers on the park, a succession of misses to accompany them. I do think that they were not getting off lightly from some supporters, and I think the gentleman that you're reading from there is letting them off lightly.
We do go week to week on this stuff because the similar things were being said about Callum McGregor and various others last week, when, from a Celtic perspective. But Gordon, it's a bad combination when fine, the new signings aren't doing much yet, so that's annoying the Rangers fans, but they're also saying, I think Tavernier's in the decline. Goldson's started making more mistakes, and Suter does well in game, but he's also kind of there or thereabouts every time we concede a goal. Starting to worry about the guys that were and Cantwell, Raskin. After today, it feels like they're starting to worry about guys they thought they could hang their hat on.
Yeah, do you know what? I've got to be honest, I feel for Tavernier at times. He's got to be sticking one in the net for 30, 40 yards. He's got to be hitting a free kick. He's got to be doing something to justify him being the captain. Did he play well today? No, he didn't. So what's going to happen is he's going to get this label with no leaders, with nobody on the pitch.
But fine, then forget that.
Right,
I'm talking about just his performance.
Yeah, I thought he was poor. I thought Tavernier was poor today. I thought the two centre halves who I was being impressed with, Golson and Suter, when it comes to the big moments covering each other, I don't think they balance off each other particularly well, especially today. And Mark highlighted quite rightly so the defensive shape when they lost the goal. One, Golson can't header a ball straight. Was it O'Reilly headed it straight? Yeah. O'Reilly. And then you've got Suter, 5 yards of a difference off your centre back. Too easy. Q go in, bang, what a finish, terrific, beats the goalkeeper, all ends up. But I just feel sorry. Golson makes a great goal line save, you've got to say. Great defending from him. Yeah, the new signings will always come in for the criticism, but I just think collectively, Gordon, I'm going to say collectively, I just think today, apart from the goalkeeper, I would not have given anybody pass marks in that team.
Now Matondo says, I think, Craig, was it a different game? It was a shambles. At times in the first half we weren't pressing them whenever we got the ball. Instead of getting it down and playing, we punted it back to Celtic. Managed by Brendan Rodgers, who you can hear next.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel are in the final part of today's show, but fear not, we're back at 6 o'clock tomorrow for more of the same fun. Hugh Keevins, and it's International Week, so it might last a few days yet.
Now, we're dealing in the immediate aftermath of this game, and therefore, people will admit that in the heat of the moment they might say things they later regret. So I'll be very interested to tune in tomorrow night at 6 o'clock to see, because this programme so far has been dedicated to the Beale out movement.
This will be some test. Can Scotland qualifying for the Euros knock this game off of top spot on Clyde One Super Scoreboard?
Not in this life or the next. Tomorrow I'm going to see.
No, not tomorrow, it won't.
But tomorrow my main interest when I tune in at 6 o'clock will be, does the Beale out movement continue into the day after, when there's been sober reflection?
Sorry, Hugh, let's hear from Brendan Rodgers then.
Fantastic result for us. You look at the squad of players we have here, and we get half our team missing. I think we needed the players to come here and play like men, and they did that. I thought first half we were very good on the ball, just getting through the pitch really well, and that's important when you come here. You have to be able to manage the football and try and take away the intensity from the crowd, and we did that. Got into some really good positions, and maybe just lacked the cleanness and just the final pass that would have got us in a bit earlier. But we get the goal I think we deserve in the first half. And it's a goal that I've said to the players about doing the dirty bit as well. We score a goal similar at Ross County, where even though it's a really technical group of players, you have to be able to compete and win the ball. And Matt O'Reilly makes a great header, and all of a sudden we're in on goal, and it's a brilliant finish against a really good keeper in Jack Buckland. So I felt we deserved that in the first half. Second half, like I said, you expect pressure when you come to Ibrox. I've never been here and never had pressure in the game, but then it's all about standing up to that. And the players were absolutely magnificent. We had a few moments where we could have killed the game off, with 3 breakaways that really we finish, or should finish, and Jack Buckland makes a great save off of Barras. So could have been more convincing for us, but a brilliant win, and it's exactly what the group needed.
I think Brendan Rodgers has, in recent days and weeks, looked a subdued man, sounded like a subdued man. That is the Brendan Rodgers the Celtic fans got the first time around. He knows the importance of that result today, for him, on a personal level, for the club in general terms. And he is clearly delighted with how his players performed like men, as he said. They had to survive an onslaught, and they had to survive that onslaught with players who would not normally be in the first team, and they did so. And I think you can tell there's a whole different demeanour there in Brendan Rodgers.
I think he analysed it perfectly well there. I agree with almost everything he says there, because he's well aware, and so am I, because I've been there before, that you're never going to go to Ibrox and dominate the game. You're going to come under pressure, and he's totally right. You need strong players, big mentality to defend things in your box, and you need good players at the top end of the pitch when you get a chance to take at least one of them. And Kyogo, he's got a top striker who takes that chance. And he's also correct that they could have just killed off the game and made it a bit easier for their backline in the closing maybe 10 minutes. But he'll be immensely proud, he'll be pleased, because it was a huge afternoon for him. Had he lost the game, then the calls would have been totally different that we're facing, and he would have come under fierce criticism from the Celtic fans. But now he's got a bit of breathing space, and he can relax, and he's got goodwill back, because that's what a win at Ibrox does for any Celtic manager. The goodwill stays with you for a long time to come.
He'll be more than pleased. He'll be over the moon, for as far as I'm concerned. He turned up there, and when he named his team, I'm sure he come in for a lot of criticism. Let's be honest, if you're a Celtic fan out there, you've seen that starting to live in, you started criticising the Celtic manager, and when that's the case before a game, you've got to produce the goods, and he got it right. Look, he mentions he turns up there without half a team, but the one thing that Celtic have got, I think, that Rangers lack is the fact that when they need that winning goal or they need something special, Celtic have got that man up front, Kyogo. You know, you don't see a lot of him at times, but the minute that ball gets near a goal, he becomes alive. And that finish today was absolutely brilliant, because everyone who's in this studio are looking, thinking, take a touch, and he hits it before Butland. And Brendan Rodgers is right, as a terrific goalkeeper, he hits it before he's even set. It's in the back of net. It's a goal that gets him 3 points, and also to walk out there with a clean sheet. It's a great day for Brendan Rodgers.
Okay, 01419511025, that is the number you need, so pick up the phone and let us know what is on your mind after that. Let's go to Alistair, who's a Rangers fan from Greenock. Alistair?
Hi gents, I just would like to offer a bit of a different perspective here. I feel like there's a lot of bears dumping in conclusions with Beale. I think he's still got a lot to offer. He's the best man for the job, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, we had injuries as well. Borna Barisic didn't make the match. I think the VAR van must have been selling chips at the time when they were reviewing the goal, because that was not a foul. I think final, you know, we can still win a treble. We can still win a quadruple, actually. You know, the only team. I don't think Celtic can do that, can they? So I just like to offer that perspective to the panel.
Oh, you never know. Celtic could win the Champions League and then it would maybe offset some of it. I mean, that's the stage we're at, Hugh, to predict it in I think September.
On the back of losing 7 goals home and away to PSV, I wouldn't be talking about winning European trophies anytime soon, really.
Alistair, I like an alternative view, always do. I don't think it's healthy to just hear the same thing over and over. But where are you getting the optimism from, you know, other than this would have been different if Borna Barisic was fit?
I just feel it's still 4 games in. Borna offers a lot. You know, we've signed a lot of players in the summer there that have a physical presence, and you know, he puts a good delivery into the box. So without him, it takes a lot out of the team. And you know, we've had a long journey back, and the journey back's not complete yet. And I feel that, you know, Michael Beale's the man that's going to, you know, steady the ship. And again, it's early days. He's the best for the job.
I think when Giovanni Van Bronckhorst took Rangers to a European final, I think that was the end of the journey. That showed that the journey back had been completed. Rangers, any Scottish club that makes a European final, that's a watershed moment. So all this stuff about journeys and being back,
things do change quickly, because the summer was largely about Borna Barisic isn't good enough and should be moved on. A lot of Rangers, and to be fair to him, he has actually started the season quite well.
Yeah, I've liked him.
But you know, it's now a case of, could today have been different if he was fit? So
no, if you're putting all your hope on the fact that Barisic's been fit would make such a big difference for your campaign, then you're kidding yourself on, first and foremost. Whether Michael Beale, I'm not here to get managers a sack, whether Michael Beale stays on as a Rangers manager, that'll be down to results. That's the fans are not happy tonight. They're venting their anger on this programme. You can hear them, quite rightly so, because I think every Rangers fan thought this was going to be a win today, and some thought it'd be a comfortable one. Let's not be kidded here. It's not turned out that way. The signings haven't turned out the right way as well so far. So there's a lot of work to be done there. But you're already 4 games in, and Celtic are already 4 points ahead. And if you look over at Celtic, they're not even the finished article yet as well. So a lot of football to be done, but Rangers need to start doing it very, very quickly if they've got any chance to stick with Celtic.
The point of Barisic, by the way, I'm not being harsh here. I think if you're a Bada and you seen the lineup today, you'd be gutted that Barisic wasn't playing. You sometimes get players that you like playing against, and you get joy playing against them. And Abada, certainly coming up against Barisic, he's the one for him. So with Sterling, it's an unknown quantity for Abada, what he's getting. Now, Abada, I thought, did well in the first half, and he could have scored in the second. But Barisic, if he's who you're hanging your hopes on and getting a decent result, then, you know, hope is gone, in my opinion. I've got to be honest. And if Beale's the right man, well, he's not new in the door. I keep getting back to this. He's been there a long time. I get it was someone else's team, but he's a coach and he needs to improve players that were already there. I don't think he did, and he needs to improve the players that he brought to the club. And I'm not sure if he's doing that just now, 4 weeks into the season.
Maybe a bit of a sideshow for today. It's not the big talking point, if you like, but it was the first time since this whole allocation debacle that the away team has won the game. And there was no celebration, if you like, afterwards, and silence certainly when the goal went in, albeit we've experienced that before. This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say on that topic.
Guys, it's not the same game. It's such a shame. It's brilliant for us. Our resilience, everything we had to show as Celtic players today and as a group, what we had to withstand. But it's not the same game. So obviously when there's not a single supporter there for you, you know that you have to be a man. And for this group of players to come and do that and get the victory was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, there's no doubt they will grow from it. But I want to see hopefully the game back to what it used to be when I was first here.
Hard again, Hugh. We know the reasons, so fine. You're not now going to displace all these season ticket holders from us and from the outside, and it did feel like that today. Kyogo's goal, it's silent. People are sort of looking around. Then it adds to the confusion over the offside. Yeah, you get a bit of what's the word? A bit of drama because all the Rangers fans are booing at full time. But
my problem is that I detect no willingness on the part of either club to alter the status quo, which is no away fans. So it is regrettable, but it's also given Brendan Rodgers the chance to reiterate the comment about his players being like men on the park and withstanding the fact that there were no Celtic supporters inside the ground. So for Brendan Rodgers, it's been a tremendous day, and for Rangers Football Club to think 50,000 Rangers fans, a makeshift Celtic team, and we didn't even score a goal. Bad day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Brendan Rodgers first and foremost. Let me say that about the supporters. But it was all about Celtic today. Pitched up there, Rangers fancied it big time. Clean sheet, 3 points, 4 points a gap now. It's been a terrific day for Brendan Rodgers and Celtic. A lot of question marks, Michael Beale and his players. Work to be done. But it will continue over the coming weeks until the next game.
Learned a lot about players on the pitch today. Rangers, a lot of them, a long way off it for the new boys for Celtic, and those who people doubted stood up like Brendan Rodgers said. We're a man, got the 3 points, and they'll move on into the international break. A happy bunch.
It is half time in the 3 o'clock games where Motherwell lead 1-0 at Tynecastle, and it's goalless between Aberdeen and Hibs. But the big one here in Glasgow in the West and for many miles beyond finished Rangers 0, Celtic 1, and that means a guaranteed post-mortem continuing for at least a few days yet. So make sure you join us at 6 o'clock tomorrow and have your say once the dust begins to settle, and then we head into a big international week as well. But you might as well stay right there because the Hits UK chart with Sam Thompson is up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lookers Land Rover. Buy your next car or book your MOT service or repair online.